earlier today. The green is out, and here we go. Watch Bill Elliott from the back of the pack to see what he does in these opening laps.
Boy, he has to take it easy, Bob, in a situation like this with a lot of cars around him.
Dale Earnhardt is in the lead, but Rusty wants to lead this first lap because if he can do that, he can pick up 5 bonus points. That's very important to him in his quest for the championship. He is going to lead lap number 1.
It almost looked like Earnhardt moved over up there in turn 3 and let Rusty get on the inside of it to lead that. But now it might have cost Earnhardt because he's dropping back in the field. Rusty Wallace is strong, though.
It looked the same way to me. Of course, Dale and Rusty Wallace are very good friends, and it just appeared to me that Dale said, okay, Rusty, you can lead the lap and get the bonus points. It is Mike Alexander who has moved into second position now between Wallace and Earnhardt. Jeff Bodine runs back in 4th position, and Ricky Rudd is 5th as they come down for the second time.
They have new pavement here at the Atlanta International Raceway. It was very fast. Rusty Wallace qualifying at over 179 miles an hour. One concern that they have today is tires, Bob. They, of course, ran a couple of days in practice here, but the rain washed it all away, and they will have a mandatory caution between lap 20 and 25 if the caution has not come out before then.
Here's a great battle for 4th position. That's Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine. On the inside, Sterling Marlin and Brett Bodine is also right there. Behind is Terry Labonte in number 11. A good battle for 4th. Ricky Rudd has moved into 4th position. Now the battle for 5th between Marlin and number 44. And Jeff Bodine in car number 5. And Bill Elliott in car number 9 is still back in 29th position. The Bodine brothers running side by side down the backstretch. It's Jeff on the high side in car number 5 and Brett to the inside in the number 15 Bud Moore car.
Well, Brett got shuffled back a little bit on that first lap when Earnhardt appeared to slow a little bit so Rusty Wallace could get in front of him. But I don't think he had to slow down too much because Rusty Wallace has the car to be able.
Also side-by-side racing there between number 17 Darrell Waltrip, the bright orange car, and the 6 Ford Strollite machine driven by Mark Martin. So 2 abreast racing here in the early going as we zoom in now and see that Terry Labonte and the number 11 Junior Johnson prepared Chevrolet and Brett Bodine rather are racing together. This is Terry's final race in a Chevrolet. Junior Johnson moving next year to the Ford. And look at Mike Alexander trying to take the lead away from Rusty Wallace. They make contact at the exit of turn number 4, and Mike Alexander goes into the lead.
Well, Alexander, of course, wanting to show what his car will do here, and it's very fast. You can see him pulling away from Rusty after he bumped him just a little bit as they made contact coming off of turn 4. But Alexander showing some strength.
And we have a car that has hit the wall up in corner number 1. It is Dale Jarrett in car number 1. So this is going to bring out our first caution period of the day. The race to the flag is on, but it's going to be Mike Alexander that wins that race easily over Wallace and Earnhardt.
Boy, it was really something, you know, for all these drivers. Like you said, Ned, the track has been repaved. As we look at Dale Jarrett's car against the wall, the track has just been repaved, and it was getting broke in as during all the practice leading up to this race. Then the rain last night and this morning just washed the rubber off. The drivers really had to try and guess at the setups this morning.
Let's take a look at the pass that Mike Alexander made on Rusty Wallace to go into the lead. And watch the contact between the two.
Well, he comes up on him very quickly and hits him with the right front of his car, and he gets Wallace out of shape a little bit. And that's all Mike Alexander needed, was to move to the inside and take the lead.
So Mike Alexander in the number 12 car, driven earlier this year by Bobby Allison, is in the lead. And there is Bill Elliott, who has not moved up much from the opening flag. Back with more of our live coverage from Atlanta right after this. With 7 laps completed in our first caution out, Mike Alexander is the leader, Rusty Wallace second, Dale Earnhardt is third, then Sterling Marlin and Ricky Rudd. Wallace has led laps, so he has picked up those 5 bonus points. We are cautioned because of a spin as you look at the 6 through 10 standings. A spin and a contact with the wall in turn number 2 involving Dale Jarrett. Also spinning in that incident was the number 34 car that's driven by Rodney Combs. Our live coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 from from Atlanta International Raceway is being brought to you by Pontiac. We give ourselves a little bit of a breather after an exciting start to this race. Some contact between Mike Alexander and Rusty Wallace. Rather surprising move by Mike as he exerted himself and went into the lead, and then the spin up between turns 1 and 2. Dale Jarrett's car is still against the wall in turn number 2. Davey Allison has been into the pits at least one time, and here he comes again. So obviously there's something wrong with that car. Larry Newber reports.
Bob, it's a cylinder. They haven't figured out exactly why they have lost a cylinder, but they're only running on 7. Davey came in a couple, make that 1 lap ago. Here he is on his second consecutive yellow flag lap. He shuts it off. They go underneath the hood. Robert Yates, of course, dives in the most deeply. And now there's a lot of smoke coming from it. The car likely is overheating. They're going inside the car toward the ignition box area, trying to find exactly what could be causing this problem that has caused them to lose a cylinder here in the early laps of this race.
Well, Robert Yates has purchased that number 28 Thunderbird from Kentucky coal horse racing magnate Harry Ranier for the 1989 season, and Texaco has decided to continue sponsor with that car through 1991. Apparently, they have found the problem, just a wire off in the engine of that car, and Davey Allison goes back on the racetrack in hopes of making up the lost positions. Back with more from Atlanta after this. And Rodney Cole spinning. We're inside Cale Yarborough car now. We have 2 in-car cameras for this afternoon's race, and Cale is leisurely going around the racetrack as he is in his very last Winston Cup race after a very, very illustrative career. He's in 26th position right now, and this is the sand song for the Cale Yarborough racing effort, our Hardee's Race Cam providing the pictures. Also, we have Rick Wilson with an in-car camera today, the Kodak Race Cam, and he will be providing pictures for us throughout the afternoon. Also, you can see that he's right behind Darrell Waltrip, and Rick Wilson is shown right now in 11th position. Darrell Waltrip in the 17 car is in 10th.
Well, the first car out of the race here this afternoon is the number 97 that was being driven by Tommy Ellis. He was black flagged for jumping the flag and was brought into the pits, but the transmission jammed on him, so now he's out of the race. And we have a report that Dale Jarrett blew a tire, and that's what got him into the wall.
Well, I believe that they were thinking about going green in one more lap, but now Harold Kinder, the official starter for the NASCAR Winston Cup division, says it will not be next lap when we go back to green. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, I'm keeping my eye on Mike Alexander because before this race, he said they had found some additional speed in that automobile. Now, he did not qualify right at the front of the pack, but he had a good qualifying effort. He said all week long they were troubled with his skip. And just before this race, they found the skip, and they're running on all 8 now. Alexander may win. He has never won here before. Jerry Punch?
Well, Goodyear has a brand new tire here, and the reason they have a new tire is Mike Alexander's team came here with that race car on the Monday after Charlotte last month and did the tire testing for Goodyear. They were very comfortable, on top of which they brought their best race car. Many of the fans watching today have seen this car before. This is the car that Bobby Allison won the Daytona 500 with to open the season here in 1988. They feel very comfortable with the car, their tire set up, and they want to win it here today.
Bill Elliott is in 28th position. He has moved up 1 from his starting position, but has not been moving up very steadily on the field. We mentioned that Mike Alexander is running all 8, and now Davey Allison is also back running on all 8 cylinders as simply a spark plug wire came off that Ford driven by Davey Allison. That's why he was in the pits for a couple of times, but he's running okay now and is at the back of the pack.
Bob, we've noticed that not many of the cars have made pit stops, especially the front runners. We understand that NASCAR will throw that mandatory caution that we mentioned earlier once they have run 20 to 25 consecutive green flag laps. They're doing this because of all the rain to check out the tires to be sure that everything is okay. They're being given the signal now for 1 more lap to get the green the next time around.
So we have completed now 11 laps. We'll go back to racing on lap number 12. This is a 328-lap race, 500 miles on this 1.5-mile racetrack. There is the Bill Elliott crew. We visited them, or at least we visited their shops in Dawsonville on Tuesday of this past week for Speed Week. And it was a pretty much closed-door situation. They just decided that they were going to concentrate and not allow any visitors. But the performance that Bill turned in qualifying was not very impressive, as he was the 22nd qualifier after the first round, and then a lot of them improved their positions in second round. And there is the Rusty Wallace team. On the other hand, when we visited them on Tuesday, they were very open. Their garage doors were open and all welcome. They feel very confident about this race and the preparations that they have made for it.
Well, they know that they just have to go out there and run as hard as they possibly can and let the chips fall where they may. They, of course, have to try to win the race, and their only chance to win the championship is for Bill Elliott to finish way, way back.
Well, this is the last race of the season. Everybody's bringing out their best. You know, you don't hold anything back now. You got to bring everything you got. Even if you're 15th in points, you want a good showing. Everybody wants to go out with a bang and have some momentum going into next season. So we're going to see some big-time racing all the way through the field.
All right, the pace car is in, and we're about to go green. H.B. Bailey is the car to the inside. He's already been lapped. The green comes out, and look at Dale Earnhardt squeezed between H.B. Bailey and Rusty Wallace, as Dale Earnhardt has gone into second position now. Mike Alexander leads the field through the first and second corners once again, with Dale Earnhardt now challenging Mike Alexander down the backstretch for the lead, and it looks like he's going to go into the lead rather easily. And here comes Rusty Wallace also, maybe. 5 cars here make it 6 cars are nose to tail. Now it's Mike Alexander moving high on the racetrack once again in the 4th turn, as Dale Earnhardt is going to apparently lead this lap number 13. Indeed he does. Earnhardt picks up 5 bonus points.
Rusty looked a little loose going into turn 1 there. I don't think that he's intentionally falling back here. The front 3 cars pulling away a little bit. Rusty wants to stay up as near the front as he possibly can, because he knows that there's a lesser amount of trouble up front, and he wants to stay up there in as clean an air as he possibly can.
So Ricky Rudd looks like he has a problem. No, he's going again now. He looks like Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd bumped.
3 abreast racing at the stripe. Marvin on the inside in car 44. Alexander in the gold car number 12 in the middle. And Dale Earnhardt, the black number 3 to the outside. Now it's a Marlin and Earnhardt race through the first and second corners. Sterling Marlin is looking strong here in the opening laps. He started this race in 8th position, but they are battling. He is battling Dale Earnhardt tooth and nail down the backstretch. Alexander won't give up also, and Rusty Wallace battles back. Some contact again between Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt. You saw the smoke coming off of the car. Could this be because of the new pavement?
I think it's because they're running so fast and everybody's wanting to run up front. Actually, the new pavement should let them stick a little bit better than they would on the old pavement, but they're just driving that hard, everybody wanting a piece of the front.
Alexander in number 12, Sterling Marlin in 44, and Dale Earnhardt in number 3 are battling for the lead down the backstretch, while Rusty Wallace watches all of this back and forth spot. Now Dale Earnhardt shoots to the inside going into turn number 3 and temporarily takes over the lead once again from Marlin.
Bob, we're seeing something happen here that we haven't seen in a long time in Atlanta, and it is because of the new pavement. The drafting is such a major factor here. Earnhardt was able to slingshot past those front cars. The speeds they're running today, the draft really comes into play.
We're seeing drafting, and we're seeing a lot of side-by-side racing. There's no groove established here yet at Atlanta. There's no good spot to run, especially since the rain. You can run fast high, you can run fast low, 3 wide. We've seen a lot of good racing already.
Yeah, there was no rubber really laid down, not much, and there is now even less because of the heavy rain that we had early this morning. It is Geoff Bodine in car number 5. There's Ricky Rudd in 26, the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. All of these drivers are battling for position out there here in the early going of this 500-mile race. Ken Schrader in car number 25, the red car there, and also Lake Speed in 83 as we continue to pan back and look at the action in the middle of the pack.
Well, we saw Ricky Rudd trying to pass Geoff Bodine a little while ago on the inside of the racetrack. He could never make that pass, but he passed him on the outside this time. I think that we're going to see the groove move up very quickly here today.
First, second, and third right here. Dale Earnhardt leads them down. Sterling Marlin running second. It is Mike Alexander third. 4th position belongs to Rusty Wallace. And then this battle for 5th involving 2 of the Hendrick cars, Geoff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip. Bill Elliott, meanwhile, continues to move up, but it is a very slow process. Benny Parsons there running right ahead of Bill Elliott, as Benny is also in his final Winston Cup race ever. Bill Elliott is 27th on the grid right now, or 27th in the serial scoring, having moved up only 2 positions in the first 18 laps.
As a matter of fact, when the green flag came out, Benny Parsons was behind him. He has been Benny's passing. They passed a couple of other cars, but he would like to see drivers like Benny Parsons in front of him. He knows that he's going to take care of himself up there and stay out of trouble as much as possible. And that's the kind of people that he wants to follow.
Well, just imagine what Bill Elliott would do in this pack right here. If he was trying to hold on to his point lead, racing with this group as tight as they've been running for the front, he would be a lot more nervous, I think, up in this group than he is back there where he can afford to have a little space around him.
Yeah, there's a lot of beating and banging going on up front here.
Rusty Wallace, of course, has already been bumped twice. So he has already found out how dangerous it is out there in a race, and he appears right now to just be hanging back a little bit, not letting the first three get too far ahead, but not real excited about racing with these guys here in the first 25 laps. Earnhardt leads, Alexander is second, Sterling Marlin third, then Rusty Wallace and Geoff Bodine, and here comes Mike Alexander to the inside of the racetrack once again to try to take over the top spot. Earnhardt, though, is going to hold him off in the higher groove. Dale leads, and now the second place battle. And I thought it was Sterling was going to make a move on Mike there going into the first turn, but instead they fall back into single file formation. Now Marlin shoots to the inside as Mike Alexander gets high on the track, and here comes Geoff Bodine in the yellow and white number 15, rather number 5, to go into third, and three abreast racing down the backstretch. Ricky Rudd comes along.
Looking straighter down on the inside. Here's Darrell Waltrip. Mike Alexander going backwards something. I don't know if he has a tire going down or what's happening, but that car has lost his handle all of a sudden.
Mike Alexander is dropping back as we go inside Rick Wilson's car as he follows Alan Kulwicki. He's right behind this group of cars that are going for position. Now Sterling Marlin challenges once again Dale Earnhardt at the middle of the backstretch for the lead. Earnhardt on the outside and Sterling Marlin on the inside. It is Geoff Bodine also watching what's going on. Here comes Geoff Bodine in a strong move to the inside of the track. He moves into second. It's Marlin that now has the lead as they come down for the stripe once again.
Well, I said a moment ago that we was going to see the groove move up very quickly. Geoff Bodine has made a liar out of me right quick because he's really making the inside work for him.
It's just like a burst of power that Geoff got on the low groove there. Everybody looked like they were trying to edge their way up, and then all of a sudden Geoff Bodine right down on the bottom, right by Earnhardt.
Top qualifying speed, Rusty Wallace, 179.499. The previous record was 176.6, so they increased the speed about 2.5 miles an hour, apparently because of the new paving. We have a car in the pit area. That's Morgan Shepherd as we watch the action on the track. It is Sterling Marlin with the lead, but now here comes Geoff Bodine to try to take over the top spot, and he moves to the inside and does take over the lead momentarily. Mike Alexander, meanwhile, is coming in for his stop. And Ned, you speculated he may have a tire going down. We'll see what the crew does as they go to work on the car.
Bob, I would guess that maybe the tire has separated. They were concerned about that. Let's go to Larry Newber in the pits. Maybe he can update.
Well, right now, Ned, all the work is being done on the right side, and I'll tell you, I haven't seen any tires come off yet. Now I see it lying on the ground. Both right side tires have been changed. The yellow flag comes out on the track. We'll take a look at the tire. The one coming off the rear appears to be in pretty good shape. Now they're wheeling the one that came off of the right front over the wall, too.
Well, Mike Alexander just pitted one lap too early because NASCAR has thrown the mandatory caution flag to check tire wear, but Mike came in just one lap too soon.
And he has gone a lap down to the field. Very unfortunate situation.
It looked, when they pulled off the right rear tire, it looked like it was a little low on air pressure. It may have been a real slow leak on Mike Alexander's right rear, but it cost him a lap.
So the field is slowed now, and we will see most everyone coming in. Now, will Bill Elliott stay out this time, hoping that everybody else will come in and he can get the 5 bonus points for leading a lap?
I'll bet if it works that way that he will. We'll watch him and see. Here we see all the front runners coming into the pits. That means about 24, 25 cars are going to have to pit in front of him. Let's go to Dick Bergman in the pits while we watch Bill Elliott.
Well, Rusty Wallace is one of those cars that's coming in for a pit stop. They're going to at least take on right side tires. Now they're going to make a 4-tire change. That's reasonable. About everybody here should take on 4 tires. This is an opportune time to do it. Everybody is using scuffs. In other words, tires that have already been broken in to try to prevent blisters. They're less likely to blister. Rusty Wallace now with the right side tires changed. His left side tires are going on. I see no blisters anywhere so far. That's good news. Rusty, gone. Jerry Punch.
Bill Elliott is entering his pits at the far end of pit road, the very first pit on turn 1. Most of the other field comes roaring by. Elliott now will get right side tires in the car, and they move around the left side, and will change the left side tires. Dan Elliott and the rest of the milling crew now putting fresh rubber. And so far, I see no blistering, no separation for any tires coming off the Elliott car. A lot of cars come rumbling by. Elliott off the jack. He is down and away.
Both Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott and nearly everyone else have come in for a check of the tires as we are at lap number 26 here in the Atlanta Journal 500. The car that did not pit and is in the lead at the moment is the number 71 car of Dave Marcus. We'll resume our live coverage in a moment from Atlanta International Raceway. New England and Miami will match up tonight as we present NFL football tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, live from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. Both teams 5-5 in their division. Should be a good game. The Patriots and the Dolphins tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, live here on ESPN. Well, in the Atlanta Journal 500, we have completed 27 laps, and we are cautioned because of a mandatory period that NASCAR has thrown to check the tires. And you can see some of the checking going on down in the Richard Childress Dale Earnhardt pit. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, the reason they were concerned about tires, Bob, is that yesterday there was an ARCA race on this very same speedway that used these very same tires. And several of the cars blistered tires. To make matters worse, it rained overnight. That washed all the rubber off the racetrack, which makes it still more abrasive. They were concerned maybe there would be a blistering problem today. However, blistering relates to a number of things, one of which is how well people can set the chassis up. I just took a walk up and down pit road. These are the best guys in the world, and I didn't see a blistered tire here anywhere. It looks like we're going to be in good shape with tires this afternoon.
Well, let's hope that remains that way. It is a little bit warmer here, I think, than it has been the last couple of days. Since the sun came out after our morning rain, the humidity has also stayed up, and it's a very warm afternoon, so that too may play a part in the tire wear on this new pavement here at Atlanta. We're getting set to go green once again. The signal has been given. Next time around, we'll be getting green.
And Bob, we speculated as to whether Bill Elliott might stay out there and lead a lap. He did not. He came in with the rest of the leaders. He didn't want to give up any track position, try to gain as many positions on the racetrack as he possibly could, and hopefully that he can lead a lap a little bit later.
Well, Dick Berggren mentioned the ARCA race that we had yesterday here in Atlanta. There was a very terrifying crash during that event. The car involved was Don Marmer, and we have some video of that crash. Now, Lee Raymond in a red car number 1 will get high on the racetrack, lose control, and bump the outside wall. Then his car will slide down the banking, and he will collect Don Marmer, whose car hits the end of the pit wall. A terrifying impact there as Marmer's crash overturns twice. Dr. Jerry Punch was right there on the scene. Jerry?
Well, we got an update this morning, and thankfully, Dr. Edward Basin, the chief of trauma surgery at Georgia Baptist Medical Center, said that Marmer was serious but stable. He was in surgery for extremity fractures until 3:30 this morning. He has a lower spinal cord fracture, lumbar sacral spine, low back fracture, actually. And, of course, he has multiple contusions and a frontal lobe contusion and concussion. But otherwise, he is neurologically intact, and that's very thankful. Good news for Don Marmer. We're back to green here in Atlanta.
Green comes out. We're back to racing, and Dale Earnhardt is in the lead of the Atlanta Journal 500 with Jeff Bodine running in second position, and they go down the backstretch. Bill Elliott is in 25th position. He just has not moved up very much on the field since the drop of the green flag, but it's very, very early in the contest. Here they come down the straightaway once again. Mike Alexander in car number 12 is in third position. Then comes Ricky Rudd in car number 26, Andy O'Manu.
And actually, Mike Alexander's a lap down. He had made an unscheduled pit stop just before the lap before the caution came out. So he'll be trying to get up there and pass those front 2 cars to get back in the lead lane.
Side-by-side racing involving the number 44 car of Sterling Marlin, the number 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
Marlin has been very confident here all week. He has run very fast in practice, had a good qualifying run as well, and he feels he's got a good shot to win his first one.
Rick Wilson's in-car camera providing the pictures for us as he sets the car into turn number 1. Right ahead of him is the Xerox Ford driven by Alan Kowicki, the most recent winner in the Winston Cup circuit.
See, the cars do a little bit of bouncing as they go down the backstretch. I say down the backstretch. This track is fairly not too much uphill or downhill on the straightaways here. The straightaways are only a quarter of a mile long.
Rick Wilson is in 11th position at the moment.
That's a good shot. There was a bump there going into turn 1. Now he's coming off as the second turn onto the backstretch.
And here's Rusty Wallace continuing to move up. That's Mike Alexander, who is still trying to get his lap back. Racing alongside the second-place car in the serial scoring, that's Geoff Bodine. Now Alexander positions himself between Dale Earnhardt, the leader, and Geoff Bodine in second spot. And here is Rusty Wallace, who is in third position.
Well, you know Mike Alexander's running flat out right now. Rusty Wallace would like to keep a kind of space around him. You know, inside of the leaders, doesn't have a lot of, you know, I'd like to be right in the middle of this pack and be Rusty Wallace trying to win the championship, or Bill Elliott. Look at how close the traffic is right here. It is really, these guys are right on the edge of control in the turns, and plus they're that close.
Ricky Rudd in the number 26 car appears to be dropping back a little bit. The number 11 car of Terry Labonte is right beside him as Rick Wilson has successfully passed both of those. But it appears as if there may not be something wrong with that Ricky Rudd car as he's dropped back a few positions.
I would say the set of tires they put on it, perhaps the stagger is not quite the way that he would like for it to be, not handling quite as good as it was earlier. When we saw him up near the front there, we see Terry Labonte now about to move by Ricky Rudd. Can't quite make the pass. Deeper and does indeed make the pass. Here comes Davey Allison.
You remember he was in the pits early in the race because of a loose spark plug wire. They got it fixed, and that car is at full song. Obviously, he's racing now with Terry Labonte in car number 11. That's 25, Ken Schrader there behind Ricky Rudd. The lead continues to be held by Dale Earnhardt of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet car number 3. The number 12 car of Mike Alexander is a lap car trying to get his lap back. Back with more right after this. Be Rusty Wallace, who is running in 4th right now, or will it be Bill Elliott, who is back in about 26th position? Benny Parsons is in the pit area. It looks like it could be a terminal situation, although Benny remains in the cockpit. 525 Winston Cup starts, but this is his final one. Next year, Benny Parsons joins ESPN as a regular member of our Winston Cup broadcast crew. And while we hate to see him leave his job as a race driver, we welcome him to the broadcast team for 1989. Mike Alexander had his lap back a few laps ago while we were in break, but then lost it again. Now he's trying to get it back for the second time, and he does. Mike Alexander gets back on the lead lap, but he's loose and almost spins right ahead of Dale Earnhardt, and they touch as they exit turn number 2.
Alexander went in the corner just a little bit too hard after getting by Dale Earnhardt, and the back end of the car broke loose. And here's Geoff Bodine. He's going to mix up, and look at Rusty Wallace. Boy, he's throwing caution to the wind and just coming there mixing up with it.
Rusty Wallace has to let it all hang out. It's do or die this afternoon. He wants very much to win the Winston Cup, but he can only do that if he performs well, and Bill Elliott has a bad day. So Rusty Wallace is keeping himself up front as much as possible and trying to get into position to win this race. Benny Parsons is back in the race as we watch the action on the track, and Earnhardt tries again to put Mike Alexander a lap down. Dick Berggren reports from the pit road.
Well, the problem with Benny Parsons' car, Bob, was just a battery cable, and they fixed that battery cable. He's gone. He should be able to run as fast as he was running before this. Unfortunately, he's now 2 laps down.
So Benny Parsons returns to action as the action up front involves the number 12 car of Mike Alexander, the 27 of Rusty Wallace, and there's Sterling Marlin once again in 44. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who has an update on Ricky Rudd. Remember, we saw him dropping back a few laps ago. Jerry?
We're with Larry McReynolds, the crew chief. And Larry, your driver is dropping back a little bit. What's the problem?
Well, we don't know if we got a tire going down or what. We just told him to back his pace down. Hopefully this early in the race will get us a caution. I've told him to be his own judge. If it gets too bad, get on in here and we'll change it. But other than that, we just tried to get him to back his pace down to see if we can get a caution.
Ricky Rudd trying to nurse this car for a few more laps, hoping for a yellow flag.
I think that when you look ahead to the 1989 season, guys, this has to be one of the teams that you've got to think is going to be really strong, with Lou LaRosa joining them as engine builder for 1989. And they've also made some other staff changes. I think this is going to be a team to be reckoned with in 1989.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. Ricky is really pumped up. He said he hated to see the season end because things have been going so well. They've been running so good in recent races.
Well, I've never seen the field shuffle around so much as we've seen here. Look at Dale Earnhardt. Looks like he has a comfortable lead. A few minutes ago, somebody else was up front. Here's Davey Allison. He's been moving up steadily. He's getting very close to the front.
He really has been moving up, Gary. remember, had made pit stops on the first caution and was at the rear of the field, and now he is up there in the top 5 or 6 position. In fact, he just moved into 5th position. He might be the fastest car on the racetrack.
I believe you're right. Davey Allison is moving that Haviland Ford toward the front. Bobby, his father, was here this weekend. We had a chance to talk with him earlier, and he's Grand Marshal for today's race. So Bobby Allison looking very well and very enthused about his son's racing career. Davey, of course, in Winston Cup, and yesterday's son Clifford participated in the ARCA race but dropped out early with a mechanical problem. There is the lead once again, held by Dale Earnhardt of Mooresville, North Carolina. He started this race from outside of row number 1. He was eliminated, of course, from the possibility of winning another Winston Cup at Phoenix. So is it easier knowing that you don't have to worry about the points battle?
Well, that's true. We can go out here and try to win the race. Looks like we're going to end up around 3rd there in points, but it's been a halfway decent year, Ned, but you know, it's not been that championship year. All we can do is go out and try to win this race and watch Rusty and Bill race for the championship. Just wish we were there.
So Dale Earnhardt wants very much to register another victory in the 1988 Winston Cup season. One very interesting thing, he has not won a pole position for this year for the first time in a long time. Davey Allison just continues to move up through the field. He's already up to 3rd place now.
And trying to take over 2nd from Rusty Wallace. Boy, he is really moving.
Allison and Rusty Wallace are side by side exiting turn number 4. They come down the front stretch. Wallace with a slight advantage going into turn 1. No, perhaps it is Davey Allison who has the slight advantage. And it looks as if he is going to go into 2nd spot. So that spark plug wire, Gary, not anything that really causes a terminal problem.
Well, no, not early like it was. They were able to pull in and put the spark plug wire back on. But the question is, what made it come off? You know, was it a bad boot on the plug wire? The boot is what holds the wire onto the spark plug. When it gets hot, does it expand and come off, or is there actually a split in it? You know, I bet Robert Yates, especially later in the race with Davey running this car, is really going to be asking himself those same questions. I hope it stays on there now.
Well, Darrell Waltrip trying to move up a moment ago there on the car number 44, which is being driven by Sterling Marlin. But his car got a little bit high. He had to back off, and there is Alan Sawicki coming into the picture back there, too. So a lot of good racing up front here. Rusty Wallace running in 3rd place, so that's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th that we're seeing on the screen there right now.
Just some great racing here in the first 49. Make that 50 laps of the 328-lap Atlanta Journal 500. The race that will determine the championship. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage after this. Real drama being played out here. First of all, let's tell you the yellow flag is out. We don't see an accident on the track or anything like that. It could be a debris caution. Rusty Wallace came in for a pit stop. Apparently a tire went down on the car. Let's go to Jerry Punch for an explanation.
Well, just a couple laps ago, Rusty radioed in and said, I got a bad vibration in the car, Barry. Talking to Barry Dotson, the crew chief, I'm coming in. They went scampering around, and they changed the right side tires. And they're still checking back here. And Barry says, we think we had an equalized right front tire. First, they thought it was flat, and now I believe it just equalized. The inner liner equalized pressure with the outside of the right front tire and began to bounce and vibrate violently. Now, Rusty Wallace apparently will not be coming back in. He opted himself to come in. They told him stay out and try to get that lap back, get back in the lead lap, which he did not lose a lap, as everyone else makes their way down pit road.
Jerry, he will be coming back in because he's been black flagged by NASCAR. Why, I don't know, but he will be back in.
I think, Bob, what happened is the caution came out as they came down through there. Rusty was not quite in front of Davey Allison, even though he passed Davey and went on around. I think he is a lap down.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
The leaders are in the pit, and the first of those, the lead is going to be Dale Earnhardt. Davey Allison is still here. Rusty Wallace is stopped on the racetrack. What a round of pit stops this has turned out to be. The complexion of this race, this championship, has just changed dramatically.
Well, we've seen Rusty Wallace down before, though. We've seen him down 2 laps, come back and win 3 races in a row. So who knows? Here's Bill Elliott in the pits. Bill had positioned himself about 24th back there in the field and was just riding in clean air, not getting too close to any other driver on the racetrack. That's what he has to do, is drive conservative.
Well, there's a lot of confusion, but what really happened, Rusty Wallace made a pit stop, and he pulled out right behind Dale Earnhardt, who was the leader. He went right to the yellow came out right away. Rusty thought he made it, but he didn't make it. NASCAR put him back behind the pace car. Rusty's still a lap down. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
And they are not happy campers about it down here in the Kodiak pits as Rusty makes his way back on pit road. Barry Dodson and, of course, Raymond Beadle, the car owner here, watching the work on the cars. They take the left side cars off the Pontiac and they roll them back up. Jimmy Maycar puts the left front tire on. Barry Dodson is looking underneath the car. He will handle a jack. As John Dodson has the left rear, he is down and away. Routine caution flag stop, but unfortunately, he still is one lap down.
He's made up laps before, though, as Ned said, and he has that job in front of him again. Being stopped there at the end of pit road by the NASCAR official, so he will not gain a lap. And now they release him to join the reformation of the pack as we'll get set to go green here in just a few moments. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon live from Atlanta and the Atlanta 500. To show you a replay, and we're going to reset the line to show how close it was of Rusty getting that lap back.
Well, Davey Allison was leading the race. He's the car number 28 on the inside as they were coming up on Jimmy Horton at number 80. And you can see that Rusty Wallace is just a couple of feet behind Davey Allison as they crossed the start-finish line. They were getting the caution flag right then. So that's the reason that he was a lap down. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in their pits.
Is the engine builder for the Kodiak team, and Barry Dodson, the crew chief, is busy discussing the situation with the NASCAR officials. And Harold, from your eyes, what happened? What did they tell you happened out there?
Well, they picked us up as the leader, but we had just pitted because we equalized the right front tire, Jerry, and Davey Allison was the leader, and we clearly beat him back to the stripe by about 3 or 4 car lengths, and they picked us up as leader, which was the wrong car. And they're trying to unscramble it and look at the film, and I think when they do, they'll see that we're indeed in the lead lap.
Well, that's what Harold Elliott and the Kodiak crew feel. They have that replay camera mounted inside the scoring stand at the start-finish line, and Timmy Arp, the NASCAR official, has been radioed. He is looking at the replay, so they have a video replay of exactly what the fans saw at home on ESPN, and they will decipher exactly where Rusty goes.
Well, I've been in that position so many times. You see Barry Dodson and the crew in the pit area. They're beyond the start-finish line. From their viewpoint, I'm sure it looked exactly like they were way ahead of Davey Allison. But when you're right on the line like our cameraman was, you can see it. It has all has to do with the angles.
We're under our third caution period of the afternoon with 58 laps completed out of 328 in this 500-miler from Atlanta. We'll be right back. South of Atlanta, Georgia, for the final race of the 1988 Winston Cup campaign. It'll either be Rusty Wallace or Bill Elliott winning the championship this afternoon, and we'll have all the action for you here on ESPN. We're about to go back to green. Now, Rusty Wallace is the car there on the inside as they come down. He is a lap down, but will try desperately to get that lap back as the leader of the race is the 17 car driven by Darrell Waltrip. Here comes the green flag, and we are back to competition. It looks like that Darrell has a pretty good jump on the field as we go into turn number 1. Rusty Wallace definitely wants to get in front of that car, but has not at the moment. And it looks like one car is going to be black flag.
I think it's Phil Parsons in car number 55. Apparently, he accelerated a little too quickly before the green flag came out.
All right, the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki is second. Now here is Rusty Wallace moving to the inside of Darrell Waltrip, and Rusty does get his lap back, so he goes to the lead lap now in make that 32nd position.
Now he needs a caution flag to be able to come all the way around, and he might just get it right here, right now. And that car, it looked like blew an engine right in front of Bill Elliott, but Bill was able to go on around. I believe that's Brad Teague in car number 67 that apparently let an engine go, but we don't have a yellow yet, so we'll see. Maybe there was no oil put down on the racetrack. Wallace is certainly hoping for the yellow as he comes back to the stripe as they battle for the lead. Alan Kulwicki down on the inside of Darrell Waltrip.
No yellow flag, however, as Harold Kinder does not reach for the yellow flag, and so we remain under a green situation. The number 12 car of Mike Alexander also tries to get back on the lead lap. We go inside Rick Wilson's Kodak Oldsmobile.
And while we watch him follow Jeff Bodine Bill Parsons did come into the pits for a stop-and-go penalty for accelerating a little too quickly. He's back out. He stayed in the lead lap.
Alan Kulwicki is the leader of this race. He's the third car in line there. Wallace at the front of the line has his lap back. Mike Alexander, second place, has his lap back. Alan Kulwicki leads this race in car number 7, and the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip runs second. Now here comes the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt up to challenge for that spot, and Sterling Marlin is also right there in 44.
Well, there's been some good racing here, and appropriately so, the last race of the season. They're just letting it all hang out.
Now Sterling Marlin works inside of Darrell Waltrip coming out of corner number 4, battling for that second spot. Now Dale Earnhardt looks like he had thoughts of making it a 3-wide race going into corner number 1, but he falls back into single file formation. Now moves to the inside of Darrell Waltrip and goes to third. Ernie Irvan there, car number 2, also in the thick of the battle. However, he is not on the lead lap. Well, just a few laps ago, we had a close call for Bill Elliott as apparently an engine let go on the 67 car.
Brad T.
64, rather, Brad T.
He's on the outside of the track. You can see the smoke coming from him as the red car, Bill Elliott, down on the inside. And boy, does he move down quickly out of the way of that car. And I'm sure he had a few anxious moments right there when he saw that smoke coming from the car directly in front of him.
So the number 64 Tiger Sauce Hardy Chevrolet of Brad Teague experiencing some problems, but Bill Elliott lived through it. Back inside the Rick Wilson car as he moves alongside the 11 machine of Terry Labonte, and they go down the backstretch.
Wilson running very good here this afternoon in the Kodak car, but Terry Labonte trying to come back. You can see them jockeying for position. There's Darrell Waltrip up in front of them.
See the cars skittering as they go into the corners.
They're all right on the edge. Every car you look at looks like it's in a drift right on the edge of control. All of this whole pack right here, if you watch them as they go through the turns, they're all just barely hanging on. Everybody is flat out in this pack. I can see where Bill Elliott would really be more content running back where he's running in more of a safer condition.
They've certainly been fighting for those front positions up there. Terry Labonte trying to move on the inside of Darrell Waltrip, but he couldn't make that damn work.
Number 83 car of Lake Speed has slowed suddenly here on the straightaway. And look at the Budweiser car's rear end kind of gets skitterish. And look at this 3 abreast racing here. The 26 car of Ricky Rudd appears to be back at full song.
Yeah, I think he just had a mismatched set of tires on that car, and then once they made the pit stop, he was able to get a better set on it, and he's back in the thick of it again.
Kyle Petty in the Citgo Ford also in the screen there. This is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th as the battle goes on. There's Michael Waltrip in the number 30 car, the Country Time machine, right now in 12th position.
But you guys think Bill Elliott was really anticipating that hard racing early in the race in the front of the pack? You know, we've all talked about how dangerous it is for Bill Elliott to start in 29th position. But look at this pack up front. All these guys have been running so tight all day. And back there in the 25th, 28th, 29th spot where Elliott is, it's been kind of a cakewalk. Do you think Elliott anticipated that and intentionally started back there?
Well, I'm not sure that it intentionally did it, Gary, but I'll bet that he's sort of glad now that he did start back there because it is safer back there, I believe, than where if he had been up front. Now, right now, we have 6 cars that are already out of the race. Every car that falls out is working to Bill Elliott's advantage. We saw Lake Speed slow a little bit ago. Don't know if he went into the garage area. In fact, he did just now go into the garage area. He will make 7 cars that are out of the race. So that's working to Bill Elliott's advantage.
One thing we have mentioned is the fact that Bill has to finish 18th or better to win the championship. But remember, this is a sliding scale situation. That's given the fact that Rusty Wallace is winning the race or finishing up front. If Rusty has a bad day, then Bill can finish way down and still win the championship.
Right, and it could be more than 18 positions if you get farther down because, as you say, the points are based on a sliding scale, getting down to 3 points per position after you get down about 15%.
And there is Bill Elliott, car number 9, running behind the 31 car of Jim Sauter. You just really can't feel that Bill Elliott is enjoying himself. Sure, he's thinking that he's going to win the championship, but I know that he'd like to mix it up and be up there in the front of the field. Larry Newber has more on Bill Elliott.
Bob, I agree with you. I don't think they have the setup they want. I don't think they're comfortable at all. I asked Ernie about 5 laps ago, hey, are you guys showing us everything that you have, or are you holding back? He just looked at me. He thought a second, then he smiled and he said, "That's for you guys to find out." I nosed around and talked to some other crew members and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And nobody is talking. But I'll tell you what, I've been watching Bill. He's been racing with Benny Parsons and A.J. Foyt off and on all day long, and both of those people are ahead of him again, and seemingly he cannot catch them. Now, yeah, he could be waiting, but you know what? I don't think he has the car underneath him right now.
Well, if Rusty Wallace should have more problems, Larry, that would be the time that we really would know whether he has more car than he's showing us. I personally believe that he has a little more car than he's showing us right now, but time will tell.
And again, we remind you that Rusty Wallace did lose a lap when he came in for an unscheduled pit stop. However, he is still on the lead lap as he got it back. Now here's Rick Wilson in car number 4, the 2 of Ernie Irvan, the 25 of Ken Schrader, and the 26 of Ricky Rudd as they battle for position.
And that number 2 car, Ernie Irvan, is one of the contenders for the Champion Spark Plug Series Rookie of the Year for 1988. And the other contender, Ken Bouchard, did not make the field for this particular race. So that title is being settled here today as well. But they're not only points that they win on the racetrack, there are points that are voted on after the race by a panel that will give points to either or both of those drivers, and that's what will really determine the rookie champion for 1988.
There you can see the point standings. Bouchard with 193 didn't make the show. Ernie Irvan with 188. Brad Knopfsinger and Jimmy Horton also in contention for the rookie standings, but it looks like that Ken Bouchard and Ernie Irvan will have the final vote of the panel. Now, it is number 7, Alan Kulwicki, that leads this race with Sterling Marlin in car number 44 running second, and Dale Earnhardt in number 3 running in 3rd position. Let's go to the pit area for this conversation with Lake Speed.
Well, Lake, did you lose the motor in the car?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. You know, that Williams Kmart Delco battery hose was running to the front. We had a little problem while I was running up front there. The throttle was sticking wide open, and I was in a little hurry, but we came in at that caution and got it fixed. We were coming right back to the front again. I think we'd have had an awful good day today.
Now, this team is looking for a new sponsor for 1989, and they are a front-running team, and they were running well. Unfortunately, they will not win this one.
Lake Speed, the winner of a televised race on ESPN at Darlington earlier this year, has retired his car for the 1988 season. Well, we've had a change of position. It is Sterling Marlin in car number 44 that now leads, and he's being challenged by Dale Earnhardt in number 3 as Alan Kulwicki, who was the leader, has dropped back to 3rd.
And while they race up there for that position, Rusty Wallace has pulled over 3 seconds out in front of them. Of course, he still needs a caution, but he has pulled away. And look at this pack that Bill Elliott is running in, so he's not running quite as conservative as he was a little bit earlier. He's getting in there beginning to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, but you'll notice that he is at the back there and not really taking too many chances. Now, well, at least he thought about moving to the inside of the 31 car, but decided against it. But there are a string of cars ahead of him. Now he goes to the inside of Jim Sauter, and that could be the first car he's passed all day.
Well, you know, the old story, especially what I've seen since I've been in the booth with you guys this year, is that accidents are always somebody up in front does something, and the driver says, "I saw it, I let off the gas, and wham, I got hit from behind." Bill Elliott's aware of that, I think, and he's being very careful who he lets ride behind him. You know, he's going to catch back up to this pack, I bet you, and you'll see another gap of 10 or so car lengths between him and the car directly behind him, if he can pull away. If he can't pull away, he'll end up following somebody, but he doesn't want a lot of traffic right behind him.
The one thing he does want to do is to try to run fast enough to stay in the lead lap.
And he is in the lead lap at the moment. He is shown now in 23rd position since he passed the 31 car of Jim Sauter. That moves him to 23rd spot. But there is the leader, the number 44 car of Sterling Marlin. We have the top 5 at the moment, and also can show you where Bill Elliott is running right now. Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500 final event of the Winston Cup season for 1988. The leader, the number 44 car of Sterling Marlin. Second is Dale Earnhardt. And now we go back to this 3rd place battle, and it involves number 7, Alan Kulwicki, and Davey Allison in car number 28. And Allison still has that car running very well after his early problem.
Yeah, he went in with the last caution, went into the pit leading the race, Bob, but apparently they did a little extra adjusting or something on the car, and he had a little longer pit stop than some of the others. But he's beginning to come back up through the field. pretty good. Now you can see how far they are behind the front-running cars. Now, a moment ago, we mentioned that Rusty Wallace was 3 seconds ahead of the leaders. That has been closed down considerably. Rusty is not running quite as fast as, in fact, Mike Alexander has passed him. So the leaders are only about 1.5 seconds behind Rusty Wallace now, putting him a lap down. So they're gaining on him.
Rusty Wallace.
Okay, you can see him in the middle of your screen, and not too far back there, you can see the leader, car number 44 of Rusty Wallace. And you can see the 12 car of Mike Alexander up in front of Rusty Wallace. Let's go to the pits of Jerry Punch, who is with the crew chief on the Kodiak Pontiac.
Well, Ned, Barry Dotson here was talking to Rusty a few minutes ago, and Barry, you guys didn't seem to be that concerned when you lost a lap. In fact, you were smiling a little bit. What was the conversation like between you and Rusty?
Well, first of all, we had to look at the instant replay to see that Davey did just beat us back. I told Rusty, I said, we're 1 lap down now, buddy. We're ready to go. And he's not worried about it. We're not worried about it. We'll see what happens.
Well, the last 3 times they've won, they've come from 2 laps back at Charlotte, Wilkesboro, and Rockingham. So they said, hey, we'll get a lap down. Now we got to run in the start at them. So we're not concerned at all.
Well, Rusty Wallace is on the lead lap, and he is positioned just ahead.
And caution is coming out. Richard Petty is into the wall over on turn 2, down the backstretch.
There it is, and he has hit the wall rather hard on the right side of that car. Extensive damage. Richard Petty in the STP Pontiac car 43 crashes on lap number 85. It brings out the caution, and Rusty will now be able to encircle the entire track.
He and Mike Alexander as well. A tough break for this man who's had a lot of tough breaks this year. Richard Petty, 7-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion. 1988 hasn't been his year. He's going to finish out of the top 20 in the point standings for the first time in the Lord only knows how many years. It's been a long time since he has finished out of the top 20 in the point standings. And as you say, Bob, he has hit the whole wall hard because it has knocked that right front way.
Boy, that car is narrowed up, especially on the right front. I know Richard, I can see him moving just a little bit around in the car, but he definitely got his bell rung on that one.
He came into the race 22nd in the point standings. His best finish of the year was a 3rd at Richmond, the 2nd race of the year. Jerry Punch has this report from pit road in the Sterling Marlin pit.
Well, Sterling Marlin, the current leader, brings the Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile down pit road. They will change right side tires and clean the windshield. Jake Elder and the crew in the swan song from Piedmont Airlines. Dale Earnhardt is also in. They will get left side for Earnhardt and for Marlin, getting 4 tires for both these cars. Still on Dale Earnhardt now, watching the Goodrich Chevrolet crew. Marlin's car down off the jack. He is away. And Earnhardt's car down and away, too. Good pit work for both Earnhardt's crew and Sterling Marlin.
Richard Petty appears to be okay. He's climbing out of the car under his own power, shaken obviously from what appears to be a very hard impact with the wall in turn number 2. Bill Elliott is also in for a pit stop. They're changing rubber on the left side of that car. There is Rusty Wallace, who is just about to complete his pit stop. Jerry Punch is right there.
They are hustling in the Rusty Wallace pits. Barry Dotson and the crew trying to get 4 tires, and they are really in a hurry trying to get him back out. They have changed right side tires and now left side tires to keep an eye on here. All the lug nuts go on. He is down and away. Great pit stop here for that crew.
Rusty Wallace moves back out onto the racetrack during this 4th caution period of the day.
That was a risky move for Rusty Wallace. He just got his lap back, and he pitted on the same lap with the leaders. That means he really should have. Most times when you get your lap back, you go an extra lap to get caught up to the pace car. Rusty Wallace and his crew said, heck no, we're running this thing flat out. We're not worried about it. We're going to have a good pit stop, and they did beat the pace car.
The yellow flag was also good news for the number 28 car of Davey Allison. He had a flat right front tire, but it's fixed now, and he's back on the track. A week from this coming Tuesday night, we have Cale, Benny Parsons, and Buddy Baker in a special show that we did at the Lovejoy Plantation last Friday night that we know you are going to enjoy, talking about some of the good times from Cale, Buddy, and Benny's careers.
They have certainly had 3 great careers.
Richard Petty has crashed over in turn number 2. That's the reason for our caution period. And it was a very serious crash. It did involve the right side impact, but Richard got out of the car okay. And, of course, that very bad crash yesterday during the ARCA race. A couple of rule changes related to safety for 1988. More in this Track Fact with Dr. Jerry Punch. Sparks are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
From time to time, we at ESPN have shown you some of the newer innovations that take place inside the cockpit of a Winston Cup car. Now, most of the time, they've been creature comforts, like the thick padding heat shields on the floorboard and the fans that blow air on the driver's legs and feet. But we'll show you two more safety features today. Now, these are optional this year, but will become mandatory according to NASCAR in 1989. They are these long leg extenders here beside the seat. After Bobby Allison's accident this year and Neil Bonnett's accident last year, in which both of them had shattered lower legs, these seat extensions will help protect the extremities for next year. And a very important bar, this bar here is called the Foyt bar, after A.J. Foyt, who ran it for many, many years, realizing how safe this bar was. This bar here is attributed for possibly saving Rusty Wallace's life. When Rusty's car was barrel rolling at Bristol, Tennessee, it was hitting up here and also hitting back here. This bar that connects the upper part of the roll cage kept this front part of the windshield from caving in on Rusty's helmet during those violent rolls. This bar will become mandatory in NASCAR in 1989.
NASCAR continuing to update the insides of the car to keep them safer. And there's a good look at the inside of Rick Wilson's car, the Kodak Oldsmobile, as we are under our fourth caution period of the afternoon at Atlanta with 89 laps completed. We'll be back with more of our live coverage. More lap signal, but now displays the yellow once again, but indicates this time that we will be going back to racing the next time around. 91 laps have been completed here in Atlanta, and Larry Nuber has been watching this most recent round of pit stops and can report to us from Pit Central. Larry?
Well, as you can see, all the leaders come in on lap number 86, and Sterling Marlin getting in and out in very good fashion. The big loser, seemingly, on this round of pit stops was Davey Allison, who came in running second, comes out in fifth position. Dale Earnhardt pretty much holding forth on his own. You see the comparison of our 2 point contenders, Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace. Elliott jumping up into 17th position. Bill Elliott puts himself into that 18th position, that magic number that he needed to finish to win the points championship. So the Elliott crew doing very excellent work down in the pits. Now, I've just come down from the Alan Kawicki pit area, and I've talked to crew chief Paul Andrews, and they've got some problems down there. For the second time today, as we look at Bill Elliott, who's motoring now in 17th position, for the second time today, Alan Kawicki has come in with a tire problem. At first, they thought the first tire might have been damaged by debris. Turned out to be a blistered tire. And during this yellow flag, he came in with another left rear tire. Remember, everybody's saying that this track is tight, so that's not so unsurprising that the left rear tire went. But Alan had the crew describe to him the appearance of the tire, and he said it wasn't really a blistered tire in the traditional sense. Here is a tire that had an air bubble when it was made in the mold, and it actually came apart, leaving a strip about 6 inches long. We're going back to green flag now. We've had 14 different winners this year. That's a modern-day record.
And the most important thing is that Jim Sauter, who is leading the race right now, becomes the 44th different driver to lead this season. But it looks as if he's going to be passed here by the number 44 car of Sterling Marlin. The number 2 machine of Ernie Irvan is also a lap down. In fact, he is 2 laps down. So here comes Sterling Marlin. He now goes into the lead, taking it from Jim Sauter in the pink number 31 car. The 17 car of Waltrip is second, and the man on the move is the number 28 car, driven by Davey Allison, who has been very strong all afternoon since his loose spark plug wire.
Well, as Larry Nuber pointed out, he came in running second, went out running fifth, but it doesn't take him too long to get back up to the front. But here's another man that likes to run up front. That's Dale Earnhardt in the car number 3 on the outside of Davey Allison. They'll probably split the car number 36. No, Davey decides not to go on the inside. Earnhardt just takes the outside and moves around. The car number 36 of H.B. Bailey. Earnhardt moving up into the 4th position.
Boy, heavy traffic. Look at that. All of them coming off the turn, all of them right on the ragged edge, and then you throw in a few that are laps down that are kind of trying to get out of the way, but they can't do a lot. Everybody's got to kind of race around them to move up in position.
Rick Wilson in the Kodak Oldsmobile is running in 11th position. He is right behind the Citgo Ford, driven by Kyle Petty in 10th, as they too work the slower traffic.
You can hear he has to decelerate just a little bit as he goes into the turn, and then he just plants his foot to the floor and accelerates as he moves around the car of H.B. Bailey. Bailey is running 1 lap down to the lead. He lost the lap early in the race, but since then has been able to stay only 1 lap down.
13 lead changes among 11 drivers in the first 95 laps of this race. The leaders have been Wallace, Alexander, Earnhardt, Marlin, Jeff Bodine, Marcus, Davey Allison, Jimmy Means under caution. Also Darrell Waltrip, Alan Kulwicki, and Jim Sauter. The lead held right now by the 44 car of Sterling Marlin as we're back inside the Kodak Oldsmobile of Rick Wilson. Bill Elliott continues to just circle the racetrack. Not particularly interested in racing anyone. You notice he's on the lower, the inside groove, the slower groove, running down there with Benny Parsons, who is 4 laps down to the field. Bill Elliott is not a race driver today. He is more or less going for the championship, and here is a battle among the leaders. Sterling Marlin still leads, but here comes the black number 3 of Dale Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip is also right there, as is Davey Allison. They're nose to tail down the straightaway into turn number 1. The 17 car of Waltrip looking for third spot, but he's looking for second, but he falls back into single file formation. Now Davey Allison takes a look at third spot as they streak down the backstretch.
Allison, of course, driving the Ford number 28, the car number 44 of Sterling Marlin, who has also shown a lot of strength here today. Leads Dale Earnhardt, but now Earnhardt in the black number 3, trying to make a move, but he can't quite get down there.
The grandstand audience is on its feet. I don't think it's been seated more than 5 laps during this entire green flag period that we've had, as the racing has just been tremendous. The 44 of Sterling Marlin is the leader. The 3 of Dale Earnhardt is second. The 28, or is it the 17? The 17 of Darrell Waltrip is third, and the 28 of Davey Allison is fourth, but it's a great battle for that third position. Allison is on the inside, and Darrell Waltrip on the outside. Allison picks up the spot, and look now, we're going to have a battle for the lead, as here comes Dale Earnhardt to challenge Sterling Marlin. They go into turn number 1, and Dale Earnhardt has the lead.
Boy, isn't that some close racing? Look at back here, the 27 car of Rusty Wallace and the 9 car of Bill Elliott on the outside.
Now we have a 3 abreast race for the lead. Allison on the inside. Will he get the lead going into 3? Yes, indeed. Davey Allison moves in the lead with Earnhardt second and Sterling Marlin third. Now we see Rusty Wallace in the 27 car. It's Harry Gant in 33 and Bill Elliott in number 9, along with the 75 car of Neil Bonnet, as the 2 who are going for the Winston Cup Championship are running together now on the racetrack.
I believe Bill Elliott's running faster. He's running more aggressively now. He's taking a look at the number of cars that are out of this race, which has cut the numbers down on him, and so I believe he's running a little bit harder.
In the first 100 laps of this race, Bill Elliott has not led a single lap. Rusty has led on 4 laps. Neither is in a position to pick up the bonus for leading the most laps at this point.
Davey Allison sure looks like he's been putting himself in a position. He's fallen behind with the plug wire, fallen behind with a slow pit stop, but every time he's clawed his way right back to the lead, and Dale Earnhardt doesn't give up that lead too easily. So I think Davey Allison looks awful strong at this point.
Davey Allison, a 2-time winner this year at Michigan and at Richmond. Back again we go into the pack. There you can see Wallace in 27 and Bill Elliott in 9. Now they're right together on the racetrack.
Elliott is definitely running harder than he was before, because Rusty Wallace, you can rest assured, is not leaving anything in that Pontiac. He's getting everything out of it that he has, and Bill Elliott's staying with him now.
Well, you know those drivers that are around Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace know the situation, too. They definitely don't want to have anything to do with messing up the points battle, so they're going to give them some extra room.
Dick Beatty, the competition director of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, has told them in the last 3 or 4 drivers meeting, gentlemen, you know what the situation is. There are 2 drivers that can win this championship. If you wreck one of them, you better back up and get the other one, too. You better take both of them out at the same time.
If the race were to end right now, Bill Elliott would be the Winston Cup champion, but we've got a long way to go. Only 103 out of 328 laps have been completed in this race. And at the moment, both Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott are in the mid-pack trying to move up toward the front.
I really believe that Bill Elliott is going to be a factor in the run for the win in this race before it's over. I think in the last 100 miles or so of this race, I believe that man is going to be in contention. Now, that's just a wild prediction on my part.
Ooh, contact there between the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine and the 12 of Mike Alexander. Alexander has been running strong all afternoon. Now Rusty Wallace moves to the inside of the 5 car of Jeff Bodine and takes over another position, and there's Bill Elliott right behind Jeff Bodine. Racing all over the track as we are live at Atlanta International Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500, where the lead is now held by the number 28 Haviland Ford, driven by Davey Allison. Back with more of our live coverage right after this. You'll remember not too many laps ago, in fact, just a couple of laps ago, he was leading a pack that contained Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott, but he was pretty much running by himself when a big puff of smoke came from that car down in turn 1.
And as they got the caution flag, you could see as he went into turn 1, a lot of smoke coming from the car. But he did get it down on the inside of the racetrack as quickly as he could. All the drivers were told in the drivers' meeting, if you blow an engine, try to get it down on the inside as quickly as possible. This man, Dale Earnhardt, and Phil Parsons, the car number 55, gambled a little bit. They came around getting the caution flag. They came into the pits, but that's going to put them out in front of everybody else, because I'm sure that we'll see the other leaders come in this time around. We understand that Davey Allison might be having an overheating problem. We'll keep an eye on that as he comes down pit road, along with Darrell Waltrip right behind him and the rest of the field.
Sterling Marlin is right there also, coming in pit road. Davey Allison leading him down in the number 28 car with Darrell Waltrip behind him. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Davey Allison is in the pits right now, and they're going after the grill work with a piece of thin stick, going to try to cut some of it away to cool the car off. The windshield is also badly dashed. He's got a big crack in the windshield. He's picked up something very heavy. Rusty Wallace also in for his pit stop. Allison, they're doing a lot of work in the grill works now. Jerry Bunches with Rusty Wallace. Jerry?
Completing the right side tire change on the Rusty Wallace car. The Blue Max crew coming around to the left side. Just a moment, a lengthy pit stop in the right front. They have a problem. Jimmy May car apparently had an air jack problem with the right front tire. And now they finally will get around to the left side. It will cost them valuable time. Let's get out of the Bill Elliott pit. Larry is there. Larry?
Jerry, there was no such problem down here. Bill Elliott is gone already because he stopped under yellow flag conditions, but it didn't look like it. Rusty Wallace is finally getting out of the pits, but he did lose valuable ground to Bill. They changed all 4 tires and refilled it, and they just had absolutely nothing go wrong down here with a perfect stop under yellow.
Well, that's the work they were doing on Davey Allison's car. It really didn't look like the radiator green screen on the grill that they were cutting loose. It was the screen over the oil cooler. It looked like they might have an oil temperature problem, not a water temperature.
Of course, if the oil temperature goes up, that naturally shows up on your temperature, your water temperature gauge as well.
Oh, yes, sir.
Look who our leader is, ladies and gentlemen. It's A.J. Foyt in car number 14.
Supertex, they call him. I'll tell you, that man has raced in every kind of motorsports in the world, it seems like, and he's won in just about everything that he has raced in. Let's go to the pits. Davey Allison's pits there and check on the situation with his car.
Along with his car owner, his motor builder, his crew chief, his everything, I guess, now, Robert Yates. Robert, what exactly is wrong? You were cutting away the area in front of the oil cooler. Is it oil temperature or water temperature we got a problem with?
Well, we had the water temperature a little bit warmer than we wanted. We adjusted that earlier. We adjusted the oil temperature down to where we want it now, and it's around about 10 degrees higher than we'd like to see it.
Adjusted it with the 10 snips.
Correct.
How about the spark plug wire? Are you concerned about the spark plug wire? Is that going to stay on, Robert?
Well, I hope so. It's a little side plug wire, and if it can keep turning it to the left, or maybe some centrifugal force to hold it on, but if, the slightest jolt might jar it back off. Excuse is, it's a new diameter size plug. First time we've run them, and the boot helps retain it on, and it's a little bit too loose.
They've got their fingers crossed here. They're fast, but they've definitely got problems. Jerry Punches in Rusty Wallace pits. Jerry?
Well, we saw a delay in that pit stop when Rusty Wallace was changing the right side tires. Jimmy May car, we thought, had an air wrench problem, but he had laid the air wrench down to reach in the spring area, spring bucket in the right front, and take this rubber insert out. They had put it in during the last stop, the last caution flag stop. This rubber insert goes beneath the spring, between the spring coils, and actually makes the spring a little bit stiffer in the right front, hoping to keep the car up off the racetrack in the corners. It didn't work. The car wasn't handling that well, so they pulled it back out. Just some of the tricks of the trade they used for quick chassis adjustments here during caution flag pit stops.
Boy, all kinds of work going on pit road early in the race. You know, that rubber thing really does a big part to change the handling of the car. When they take it out of the right front coil spring, it makes the car looser, and that's the way Rusty likes it to be.
So Rusty Wallace and the others are back out on the racetrack. You know, this particular racetrack has hosted the IndyCar races over the years, but as we look back to 1966 in a NASCAR race here, we see an IndyCar driver that won it. Here's our Winston Cup replay. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the first name in filters. For Pure Oil now and Pure Oil later, it's Purolator. 1966, the green is waving on the Atlanta Journal 500 with Richard Petty and Dick Hutcherson on the front row. The track is 7 years old, but some drivers are still trying to figure it out. The number 56 car is driven by IndyCar and Sprint Car driver Jim Hurtubise. Even the veterans, like our own Ned Jarrett, had trouble on the Atlanta banks this day, suffering a blown engine. The final laps, and it's Hurtubise in contention for the win against Curtis Turner. The New York driver has beaten the good old boys. Hurtubise wins his first and only Winston Cup race. Recalling 1966 here at Atlanta International Raceway. In 1988, we've completed 111 out of 328 laps, and A.J. Foyt leads.
Doesn't take a run as fast as he wants to. Doing a good job staying up there in second place right now, but here comes Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick. Rudd wants to get up there and get a shot at Earnhardt.
In talking to A.J. earlier this weekend, he's selling majority interest in many of his car dealerships to concentrate on racing. Even at his age, he wants to be a winner once again in Indy cars and in Winston Cup competition. He's looking good right at the moment, holding down second spot, but Ricky Rudd is there challenging him in the number 26 Quaker State Buick. Now here's the number 17 car driven by Darrell Waltrip, as he is involved in a group of cars battling for position. Included in them would be Sterling Marlin, the 55 of Bill Parsons is also right there. And of course our in-car camera, which is carried by Rick Wilson.
Look at them shuffle down the back straightaway. You know, they're all struggling, jockeying for position, and then they get to the next turn, somebody comes on the inside and the outside. This is close racing. These guys are going to earn their pay today. Every one of these drivers is right on the edge all the way around the racetrack.
When you think about super speedways on the Winston Cup Trail, you automatically think, of course, of Talladega, of Daytona. But believe it or not, this is the third fastest racetrack that the Winston Cup cars compete on, and of course it's even faster this year because of the new pavement. There is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17.
Well, you know, we've been watching Darrell Waltrip. See right there in the turn, he seems to lose a little bit. The 55 car almost right behind him. When they come off the turn, Darrell's motor seems to be pulling better than the 50. You can see the gap. Look at him pulling away from the 55 car, gaining on the Mark Martin car in front of him. But then here again in the turn, they close right up behind him again. So Darrell Waltrip needs to work on his chassis a little bit, but I don't think he needs to do anything to that engine.
This is Darrell Waltrip's 33rd Atlanta start. He won here in 1977. He won in 1982. He has won twice this year in Winston Cup competition, winning at Charlotte in the 600-miler and at Martinsville.
Well, that was another good example. Darrell Waltrip right on Mark Martin's bumper going into the turn. When they come off the turn, he's 5 lengths back, and he gains it right back again on the straightaway. So Darrell Waltrip really has the horsepower today.
Bill Elliott, meanwhile, is at the tail end of this pack of cars that are running in single file formation. Quite a string of them.
We'll see Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white car number 5. And there's Bill Elliott in car number 9 as Kyle Petty tries to move on the inside of him, but doesn't quite make it past that time.
Yeah, Bill Elliott showing a little more strength as we go, doesn't he? You know, just at the beginning we thought, well, does he even have a car fast enough to compete? But now he's never been more than a half a lap behind the leaders, and he's showing a little more strength all along.
He is in 13th position. Bill Elliott is in 13th. The race for second spot, meanwhile, is heating up. Make that third position. Here is Davey Allison in car number 28 on the inside of A.J. Foyt. And it is Davey Allison who goes into third. The leader is Dale Earnhardt. Second is Ricky Rudd. Third is the 28 car of Davey Allison. And then fourth is A.J. Foyt. But once again, Davey Allison battles back.
But that's got to be the most strength we've seen out of A.J. Foyt. You know, he's right behind Davey Allison here and kind of holding his own. He led under green. You know, everybody's got to be somewhat of an A.J. Foyt fan. To see him lead the race under green, there he is on the screen. Just, you know, I'm sure that makes A.J. feel good to be running this good.
Let's see if we have a change of position here for second as Davey Allison works on Ricky Rudd in turn number 2. Allison goes to the inside in the Haviland Ford. The Quaker State Buick of Ricky Rudd is on the outside going into turn number 3. Davey should gain the position here.
His car's working well down on the low side of the racetrack, and he does take measure of Ricky Rudd just by driving by just down on the inside.
All right, so Davey Allison now goes to second, Rudd back to third. Let's check with Larry Newber with Dan Elliott.
Bob, I've been hovering around the Elliott pits watching them work. They're very intense. Ernie was too busy to talk to us. There's no rudeness going on down here and no panic. It's just a lot of concentration. The most relaxed guy is Dan Elliott. Danny, you guys are quicker now than you were earlier. Was that by choice or by chance?
I think it's by choice. Bill just wanted to run a safe race and run comfortable, stay out of trouble, and as the race progresses, we'll try to pick up the pace.
Right now, Rusty and Bill are side by side on the race course. Any conversation in the cockpit while something like this is going on?
Well, the main thing we're concerned about is just to worry about ourselves, try not to do anything that will hurt us. At this point of the race, as if we can be there.
Danny, at this point, your pit stop has put you at the top 10. If you were in this position after 400 miles, would you go for the wins?
It would depend. It's too early to tell.
Well, he has finished in the top 10 15 times in a row, so this team has known how to get it done all season long.
You just had to feel, though, as Rusty Wallace passed Bill, though, that it was all that Bill could do to keep from standing up the accelerator and racing with Rusty just a little bit. Rusty has made the pass of him.
Yeah, it had to be tough on him, but he also realized that he has to still be patient, as Dan says, for a long time. But I still believe that they got some car there that they haven't used yet today. Early in the race, he was running almost a second a lap slower than Dale Earnhardt. Right now, he's only running about 0.2 of a second slower than the leader, Dale Earnhardt.
From outside the Rick Wilson car through the back glass, we see Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott very close to each other on the high banking of Atlanta International Raceway. The sun starting to play a part. Coming out of turn number 2 as the afternoon rolls on will become a real problem for these drivers. The sun will be right in their eyes.
Yeah, this track is like Rockingham in that respect. It really does get tough as you get late in the race, the last 100 miles or so.
Rusty Wallace just motoring by Rick Wilson on the outside of the racetrack coming out of corner number 4. And so Rusty Wallace takes up another position, and he continues to try to win the Winston Cup for 1988. We've completed 127 laps of the Atlanta Journal 500. There are the top 5, and we'll be right back. We're live at Atlanta International Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500. Being brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Champion Spark Plug Company. And by Xerex, the antifreeze coolant for extreme conditions. The top 5. With 130 laps completed, it's Davey Allison who has assumed control of the race once again, with Dale Earnhardt second. Ricky Rudd is third, Sterling Marlin fourth, and Darrell Waltrip is running fifth. And Davey Allison moved into the lead, going around Dale Earnhardt, and he did it in this fashion. As we take a look once again at how he assumed control of this race once again. Allison certainly has been one of the fastest and best cars on the track so far.
He really has been motoring around here just with ease. Look, Earnhardt went a little high. He just turned left, went under it, made the pass, and drove away. That car is very, very strong. He's been a little bit slow sometimes getting out of the pits today. Not that he's been slow, but they're doing a little extra work on that Havoline Ford. But he has come back every time to take the lead.
Oh, now looking to pull away from Dale Earnhardt. He is really strong. You know, we've talked about his car with the spark plug wires coming loose, and Robert Yates saying he's worried that it could happen. It could happen again because they're trying a new type of spark plug. He's also had problems with overheating. They worked on that. but he just goes right back to the front each time. So I know they've got their fingers crossed, but he sure doesn't have anything. He's not short anything in the turns, that's for sure.
Twice a winner this year in Winston Cup competition. Davey Allison looks for win 3 here this afternoon. This one at Michigan on the high banks and at Richmond on the new Richmond International Raceway.
Of course, Dale Earnhardt now in second place. In third is Ricky Rudd. Fourth is the car number 44 is Sterling Marlin. In fifth place is A.J. Foyt. Still hanging well now. Darrell Waltrip has passed A.J. and moved into the fifth position. A.J. is running in sixth place. Mark Martin is running seventh. And in eighth place is Terry Labonte. Rusty Wallace has moved up to ninth.
Timing a lap here for Davey Allison to see exactly how quickly that car is running. It's 32 seconds flat, and that's
about 176 miles an hour. No, 171 miles an hour, beg your pardon, yes.
And the top qualifying speed, of course, was 179. So although the speed is good for Davey Allison, it isn't nearly what it was when we had the qualifying on Friday and Saturday. Now here's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 and Sterling Marlin in car number 44 as they go for fourth position. The number 26 car of Ricky Rudd is in third, and then comes Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. So third, fourth, and fifth in single file right here.
It seems that the longer they run under green, the stronger Darrell Waltrip's car gets. I think he had a little push in the car when they first started. We saw him moments ago that the car was going very high in the turns. In fact, it went a little high that time, but he's able to deal with it a little bit more now. It's the chance he's working a little bit better. And as Gary pointed out earlier, look how strong the car is on the straightaway. Drops back to the turns once again. Sterling Marlin trying to move down on the inside of him, but watch Waltrip accelerate off of the turns, right back up on the bumper of Ricky Rudd.
Darrell Waltrip is currently 7th in the point standings. He's 99 behind the 5th place Tim Schrader. Now, the last time Darrell finished out of the top 5 in Winston Cup points was in 1976 when he finished in 8th.
Boy, what you get in Winston Cup racing, you have to earn. You don't get anything. Nobody hands you anything in today's environment. You have to race flat out, and just like for the championship, for 5th place in points, for 10th place in points, you deserve whatever you can get out of this Winston Cup Series this day and time.
And you know, we're mentioning, of course, or we're concentrating on the battle for the Winston Cup, but there are several drivers who can gain and earn points positions here this afternoon. Ken Schrader, Jeff Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip are all very close in points, and so we're actually in a battle here for the best among the Rick Hendrick drivers.
Well, you know, here's Darrell Waltrip. We've been watching him and watching him. He goes higher in the turns than the other two cars, Ricky Rudd in the 26 car in front of him and the 44 car behind him.
We have a crash in turn number 1. Benny Parsons has crashed here in Atlanta in his final Winston Cup race.
Well, that's too bad. You can see the right rear tire is flat on the car now. Perhaps that is the reason that he spun around and hit the wall, or the engine might have blown. But anyway, the right rear tire is flat as we see smoke coming from under the hood of the car.
Well, Benny moving around in the car, got his window net down. He's getting ready to get out, so it looks like he's okay.
Well, that's too bad that he has to go out this way. However, he had lost some laps earlier when he had a problem with the car. They got it repaired, and he went back out and was about 4 laps down, but wanting to run to the end of this race. But unfortunately, his last one's not going to be a good one for him.
So the caution comes out on lap number 140, and it's our 6th caution period of the afternoon.
Everybody headed for the pits now. No big surprise as Davey Allison leads Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, and Darrell Waltrip into the pits. The 4-tire change for all of them.
Dick Berggren is in the Davey Allison pit. Dick?
Well, Davey is in. Earnhardt is sitting just 2 questions up ahead of him. So it's going to be a drag race to see who can get out the fastest. Robert Yates, the crew chief and car owner, has undone the left front nudge. You can see the windshield on this car, how badly cracked it is. Davey can see it. Earnhardt now has finished the right side tire change. He's working on the left. Davey is a little bit ahead of him, however, in this effort. The left side tire is going on Davey Allison's car right now. Yates is the last one to be done. He's done, but Earnhardt beats him out.
Well, that Richard Childress crew has performed so well all year long. Of course, they've won the Unocal Pit Crew Championship here at Race House Pit Road, as Rusty Wallace made a very good pit stop as well. And Earnhardt's crew has won the Unocal World Pit Crew Championship 4 years in a row.
An amazing pit effort there by the Richard Childress crew, led by Kirk Shelmerdine and the others. They are indeed the best in changing the tires and getting fuel in a Winston Cup car.
But just when you think that, you know, a few years ago, 25 seconds was really good for 4 tires on a pit stop stuff like we've seen here just now. Now they're doing it in 22 and 21 seconds. I mean, with the same amount of people over the wall, the same type of equipment, it just doing it so many times, they just gain a little bit here, a fraction of a second there. Being together all these years, Richard Childress and the Dale Earnhardt crew have really pioneered that effort.
Let's go to Jerry Punch for this comment.
Well, you mentioned the World Championship effort of the Goodwrench crew at Rockingham a couple of weeks ago. That was 22.8 seconds to set a world record just a minute ago. And you can see it on the racetrack. Rusty Wallace's crew, Barry Dotson and Jimmy Makar, 20.9 seconds, 4 tires, and they pulled out. And what it did is put him out in front of Dale Earnhardt. An excellent effort by the Kodiak crew.
We were talking about the point standings among the Rick Hendrick teams. Dennis Rader's in 5th place. Jeff Bodine is in 6th place. Darrell Waltrip is in 7th place. Now, that could shuffle here this afternoon in this race, and we talked to those drivers. Is there a favorite from Rick Hendrick among them? Now, you can tell us. We're not going to tell anybody. Has there been anything said within the Hendrick organization as to which one of you guys that's supposed to finish the highest?
Well, Ned, I mean, as long as you weren't going to tell anybody, I could tell you, but Rick did kind of get me off the side and tell me that his other drivers have been with him for a while, and he thinks they're kind of laying down on jobs, so he did want us to finish ahead of them just to kind of spark them back up.
We're not going to tell anybody, so has there been anything said around Hendrick Motorsports about who Rick would like to see finish highest?
Well, hey, I'm the last original of the bandits with Rick Hendrick. Harry Hyde has left the organization now, so Rick, Harry, and I had that first car together, and so I'm really the last one left, and I'm sure, well, I'm positive Rick Hendrick, Papa Joe Hendrick, all the Hendrick clan would like to see that Levi Garrett and Jeff Bodine come out on top.
You can tell us, we're not going to tell anybody. Has it been anything said around behind the scenes that he would rather one driver finish ahead of the others?
Well, confidentially, he told me that he would like to see me finish as high up as I could, that he thought it'd really be nice. That's what he told me confidentially.
Well, I happen to know all of those players involved in this point chase, and I can tell you one thing. Rick Hendrick is a heck of a guy to work for. All of those drivers were commenting about him, but when it gets time to race, he lets them race. He doesn't really try and orchestrate any finishes or anything like that. He just says, you guys race each other flat out.
Well, Benny Parsons, who was in his last Winston Cup race, has crashed, but here's the guy who is also in his last Winston Cup race, and he is still in competition. We're watching Cale Yarborough as he motors around the racetrack under caution, and there is Rick Wilson, who is taking a bit of a relaxation here as we are under our 6th caution period of the afternoon. Back with more after this. We're back at the Atlanta Journal 500, and we're watching Cale Yarborough, and now we're going to try to talk to him on the radio. Cale, how's the race going so far as you're concerned?
Well, the race is going pretty good. I'm having a little bit of chassis problems. The car run good for about 20 laps, and then it seems to go away. So we missed the chassis a little bit on it, but so far everything looks pretty good.
Cale, the new pavement, has it created any problems? Is it slick? Is it okay?
Racetrack's in excellent condition. It's a little bit rough, but surface itself is in good condition.
Cale, we realize this is your last race, and there are millions of people watching us this afternoon. We want to congratulate you on your career and give you an opportunity to say anything you would like about this fabulous career that you've had.
Well, I appreciate it. The only thing I can say, I guess, is it's been great. I've enjoyed it, and I'm going to miss it some, but I'm going to enjoy being a car owner, too. I think Dale Jarrett's going to run that Hardee's Pontiac next year, and I'm looking forward to that. But it's been great.
All right, Cale, we'll let you get back to work, and good luck the rest of the way. And as he indicated, he remains in the sport as a car owner, as he has been for this year, and Dale Jarrett is his full-time driver for 1989. We remain under caution because of the Benny Parsons crash up in turn number 2. So we're going to take another break and resume our live coverage in a moment. Still under caution at Atlanta with 144 laps completed. The most we've run under green so far is 35 laps. The race has been interrupted by 6 caution periods. And we also might mention that all cars started this race on Goodyear tires. Nobody chose the Hoosiers for the beginning of the Atlanta Journal 500. top 10 now as we continue to run under caution. However, they will be going green next time around. It's Darrell Waltrip leading in car 17. Rusty Wallace is second at number 27. Third is number 3, Dale Earnhardt. 44, Sterling Martin is fourth, and Davey Allison is fifth in car number 28. That, of course, after the pit stops that have just been concluded.
Well, Davey Allison went in running first and came out running fifth.
There you can see 6 through 10 as Ricky Rudd leads the second 5. And the pit stop summary will show us that Davey Allison lost 4 positions. He went in first, came out fifth. Dale Earnhardt lost 1 position. Ricky Rudd lost 3. And Rusty Wallace has gained during that caution period in his pit stops. He came in 6th position and came out second. And we also update you on the Bill Elliott situation. He came in 15th position and comes out in 8th. So both of our Winston Cup contenders did gain during those pit stops.
Well, that's one thing that's got them where they are today, battling for the Winston Cup Championship, is the fact that they've had good pit work all year long here in Nelson. That is still a very, very important part of the games.
Very important. Rusty Wallace's crew, Bill Elliott's crew, Dale Earnhardt's crew. When you talk about the top 3 in points, they're the top 3 in the pits, too. They just, time after time, whip out those unbelievable 4-tire pit stops.
So we get set for the restart now. 2 abreast formation as they come down. That again is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. That will lead them to the flag. And Rusty Wallace is second. Now remember, Rusty has already made up his lap. He earlier in the race lost a lap, but was quick to get it back, and now is right up there in contention once again. If he's going to win the Winston Cup, he's going to have to finish very near the top, if not winning this, and Bill Elliott is going to have to suffer some kind of a problem that puts him 18th or worse. Now Rusty Wallace is challenging for the lead. Darrell Waltrip, and Rusty just blows by Darrell Waltrip and takes command of this race once again.
Boy, what a move. Rusty looked like he never even let off going into that turn. Darrell let off in a normal spot. Rusty just shot right under him.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt doing the same thing. And again, it looks like Waltrip's car with 2 tires on it pushes high in the turns, and that allows the others to go on the inside. Earnhardt now moves up into second place.
And of course, Rusty wants his good friend Dale Earnhardt right there, perhaps as a protection from anything that might happen. Boy, you know, when Rusty took the lead, this is a partisan crowd. There's no question about that because of the fact that Bill's hometown is very near Atlanta. But there were a lot of cheers when Rusty passed Darrell Waltrip and was in the lead. Now we have a battle shaping up for third position as Davey Allison once again shows his strength and moves to third. Darrell Waltrip is caught on the high side of the racetrack. That's Ricky Rudd in the 26 car and Mike Alexander in number 12, also right there.
That car has been strong today. He got a lap down earlier, got him back, so he's back in contention once again. That's Mike Alexander in the car number 12.
Boy, you just got to think, though, that this Davey Allison car number 28 may be the hottest one that we have seen all day, really, at least most of the time.
Yes, he's been very, very nasty. He's come out and hit behind, but he's been able to go to the front every time.
Mike Alexander taking the position away from Darrell Waltrip. Here comes the 26 car of Ricky Rudd to battle alongside Darrell Waltrip. No, he falls in behind as they go down the backstretch once again.
Waltrip's car just simply won't stay down low on the racetrack. Here's Rudd making a move down on the inside, and they take advantage of it. Once the car moves up a little bit more, they'll quickly get right under it. There's Sterling Marlin right behind them, and then Bill Elliott is right behind them. So Elliott beginning to get a little more aggressive.
You know, this track is just freshly repaved, but there still are some bumps in it. You can watch the cars when they're running close together. It's not like a glass surface. There's still a lot of bumps, and it looks like when you can see Darrell's car rocking a little right there. When these cars hit these little bumps, especially Darrell's, it looks like it upsets his more, and he kind of slides and skitters up the bank and just a little bit worse than the competitors around him.
Well, let's go down to the pit area where Dick Berggren is with Benny Parsons.
Well, I hope you work with us next year. It's a little bit easier than you work today with a race car, Benny Parsons. Are you okay?
You know, I'm okay, yeah, I'm okay. But I kept wanting to win this race, but you know, if I'd won the race now, and I think about it after just what happened, if I'd won the race, I probably would not have wanted to quit. You know, if I want to come back. Now it makes this job, your job, a lot easier. Please let me help you next year, Dave.
Benny Parsons is on. He'll be with us next year doing the ESPN broadcast. He's fine today. He calls it a career.
And a very fine career it was also for Benny Parsons. And again, we express our look at this. Oh, 3 Express Racing. Look at Brett Bodine come from nowhere and pass Sterling Marlin and Darrell Waltrip. And Mark Martin is also right there in that very dark blue number 6 car. That's Mark Martin. Ernie Irvin is also running very strong there in the white number 2. And look at Bill Elliott just watching what happens in front of him. Good close racing by Ricky Rudd and Darrell Waltrip. And Bill Elliott has to exude a lot of trust among those drivers that are running ahead of him.
Yeah, when they're in there racing that close together and some of the banging around that we've seen here today, he's got to have some nervous moments there and does have a lot of trust in them. Now we're beginning to see some Fords show some muscle here. Davey Allison has shown a lot of muscle all afternoon, but the Fords didn't qualify that well here. There was a streak of races there where the Fords were winning the pole at every race, but now with Davey Allison running as strong as he is, Brett Bodine showing strength, and Mark Martin as well.
Look at the steady progression that Bill Elliott has made since the drop of the green. He started 29th, then moved up to 25th at the end of 40 laps. By the end of 80 laps, he was 23rd. Then he moved up to 15th, and now he is 10th. So you can see in the early part of the race, he was very cautious, gaining only 4 positions in the first 40 laps, but now finds himself in the top 10. The lead is held by Rusty Wallace. Now, here's his progress throughout the race. Of course, he was the pole sitter. Began from inside row number 1. At the end of 40 laps, he had dropped back to 3rd. And then look, at the end of 80 laps, because he came in for that unscheduled stop and lost a lap, he was in 30th. He got the lap back, however, and at the end of 140 laps, he was in 6th. Right now, at the end of 155, he is the leader again.
Well, he's shown that he can do that so many times this year. Darrell Waltrip just went around Ricky Rudd, but Ricky Rudd wants to position back. He comes back on the inside as Waltrip's car drifts a little bit high in the turns once again.
Bill Elliott, once again, is watching all of this ahead of him. Darrell Waltrip is in 17th, make that 8th position, and Ricky Rudd is in 9th. Back with more of our live coverage after these messages. 1988. Will the champion be this man, Rusty Wallace, who is leading the race at this point, or Bill Elliott, who is back in 10th? Should the race end right now, Bill Elliott would be the Winston Cup champion. But he has been playing it very conservative in the first half of this race, staying out of trouble, but yet staying up there in contention.
Bob, we have a big prize coming up here in the next few laps at the halfway point of this race, which is 164. There's a $10,000 bonus from Gillette for the driver who is leading that lap. Rusty Wallace trying to stay out in front of Dale Earnhardt, but it looks like Earnhardt is beginning to close a little bit on Wallace. And he senses that $10,000 was in his reach.
Well, you can bet that Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt are very good friends off the racetrack, but when it comes to $10,000, you got to think that Dale is going to make a run at Rusty and try to at least sacrifice that much out of the race here today. And maybe Dale is thinking that he doesn't want to do anything that would hurt Rusty's chances of winning the championship, so he'll lay back. We don't know, but we're going to know here in 2 more laps, because that completes lap number 162. In 2 more, we'll reach the halfway point and the bonus money.
And I'll guarantee if Dale Earnhardt can get up there and get it, the championship of Rusty Wallace will go right out the window as far as he's concerned, and out of his mind, that $10,000 would be the foremost thing in his mind. It was right interesting in the drivers' meeting this morning. They were reminded about the $10,000 by Dick Beatty, and he said, don't you fellas forget that. Well, that brought a big laugh, as if those fellas would forget it. More on that. Let's go to Jerry Puncheon Pitts.
Well, Barry Dodson was not going to say much to Rusty Wallace. They don't like to talk to their driver too much during green flag conditions. However, just this time by, at lap 163, they called to him and said, okay, big boy, $10,000 next time by. There's a lot of things the crew would like to buy with that 10 grand. How about getting it? And Rusty just punched the button coming off of turn 2 and has widened that separation by about 4 or 5 more car lengths as they head for turn 3.
Yeah, he's going to win it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. There's the separation between Rusty and Dale. And here comes Rusty off of corner number 4 now. And the halfway point has been reached in this 500-mile race. And Rusty Wallace is the leader and the winner of $10,000 bonus dollars. And a little bit of a smile from Barry Dodson. He would have a bigger smile in about an hour and a half when the race is over if Rusty wins, but they'll take the 10 grand.
That's not a bad bonus for leading that, especially after being a lap down earlier in the race. Now you see the smile on Rusty Wallace's face. We didn't just get that picture right at that moment, but Rusty usually has a smile on his face. He's a very jubilant fellow.
Rusty Wallace's season here in the last few races has just been tremendous. Of course, he lost the points lead at Bristol to Dale Earnhardt. But in the most recent races, he won 3 in a row at Charlotte, at North Wilkesboro, and at Rockingham. Then in the most recent race, he finished 5th at Phoenix. And before Charlotte, he was 3rd at Martinsville, 3rd at Dover. He's been very, very hot in the Winston Cup competition. He also has 5 second-place finishes in 1988. But Bill Elliott, on the other hand, has also been very consistent, winning on some tracks that you didn't normally think of a Bill Elliott racetrack. And that's the reason why Bill is in the lead of the Winston Cup points. Rusty sure would like, though, to get his first Winston Cup championship. But they say you got to lose a championship before you can win one. Bill did in '85. Maybe this is his year.
Well, he has run a championship type of the year. There's no doubt about that. As he races with Jeff Bodine, we see Rusty Wallace running up front. And Bob, we talked when Benny Parsons was on there a moment ago. I wanted to say he did have a very illustrious career. He's one of only 18 drivers who has won the Winston Cup Championship. Now this year we will have a 19th different winner because Rusty Wallace nor Bill Elliott have won the championship. But that's a relatively small number of drivers when you consider this is the 40th year of Winston Cup racing.
A very elite group of people who have won the Winston Cup Championship, and Jared, of course, among them. Let's go to Pit Central and our Napa mid-race recap with Larry Newberg.
Bob, as you can see, the leader, of course, as we just documented, is Rusty Wallace here at the halfway point. He started in the pole, had that little bit of a problem with tires that set him back. He led 21 of 164 laps up to the halfway point. A lot of those at the beginning of the race, and the rest of them at the last 10 or 15 green flag laps. His average speed is 119.912 miles per hour. Rusty has pitted 6 times, all but one, of course, under a bright yellow, which saves time when you pit with these very competitive conditions. There have been a total of 6 caution flags for 33 laps. We've had 13 different leaders, 23 lead changes among these 13 leaders. Of the 42 cars that started, 33 remain in the race, and 27 cars are on the lead lap as Derry Cope is the latest to join the DNFs, the did not finishers of this race. You can see the Purolator car coming to a coast down the backstretch here at Atlanta. Cars out of race, the number 97 AC car of Tommy Ellis, Dale Jarrett, in Haas Ellington's number 1, Morgan Shepherd, and the number 57 Rahal car, Brad Teagan, then Jimmy Means. Lake Speed, a winner earlier this season, Richard Petty, who crashed out, H.B. Bailey, and then Benny Parsons.
And you can add Derry Cope to that list, we believe, because he appears to be dropping some oil behind him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think the engine let go in Derry Cope's car number 20.
So we're going to see some pit stops made, and here is Rusty Wallace, who will be making another stop, and Jerry Punch will call this stop.
Rusty Wallace brings the Kodiak Pontiac to a halt, and his crew goes to work again from that 20.9-second stop, so I can duplicate that one more time. Earnhardt is also on pit road. Pulling tires in front of the field now, pitting. Right side tires for Dale Earnhardt in the Goodrich Chevrolet. Likewise, right side tires are already on the Rusty Wallace car. Here, back around to the left side of the Kodiak Pontiac. Jimmy Bay car, John Dawson. Davey Allison also in the Haviland car, getting right side tires in the Haviland Ford. Rusty Wallace down the way having to be very careful getting out behind Greg Track. Earnhardt's car is away, as is Davey Allison.
Well, good pit stops by all 3 of those drivers. Again, of course, Rusty Wallace came in first, leading the race, and he was the first one out. Here's Bill
Elliott, who's also leading out.
Yeah, he got his pit stop. All 4 tires cut off. Thank you, Gal gasoline.
So 170 laps have been completed, and the cars have made their pit stops, and now the track crew moves on to the front straightaway to put down some speedy dry and try to get the oil up off the racetrack that was laid down by the blown engine of Derry Cope. Back in a moment. For Raceway, ESPN Speed World for the finale of the 1988 Winston Cup season, the Atlanta Journal 500. The championship will be decided among Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott. Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race. We'll talk to him here on the radio. Rusty, this is Bob Jenkins. You copy? Rusty, this is Bob Jenkins. You copy? Rusty, you have done everything that you can do. You've come back from a lap down. You're leading the race, but, boy, the championship is still a long way off.
Yeah, it sure is. You know, the only thing I can do is try to lead the most laps and try to win the race. And if Elliott doesn't have a problem, then it looks like he'll get the Winston Cup. But I'm doing everything in my power to do what I got to do.
Rusty, just there in the first few laps of the race, there was some paint traded out there. The racing has been really serious out here, not only among you guys that are going for the championship, but everybody seems to be really fighting it out there.
Well, that's the last race, and everybody's trying to show what they got. And, I guess I can't blame them. I just kind of hate getting caught up in a hornet's nest when I'm trying to win a championship here, but you got to get aggressive when they start getting aggressive, because if you do, you get caught in the center of it.
All right, Rusty, we'll let you get back to work. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Well, it really says it. You know, it says he hates to get caught up in a hornet's nest. And, well, I'll tell you, they've done some hard racing out there today. And, Bob, amazingly, after 172 laps of competition, there are still 27 cars in the lead lap. That might be a record here at the Atlanta International Raceway. We see that kind of situation at Talladega, but here at Atlanta, that's unusual.
We have mentioned from the outset of the race that this track was completely repaved. It has been done since the spring race that they held here. Larry Nuber has more in this week's ESPN NASCAR Quick Fact. Quick Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
The points are a big story this weekend, but this might be the most major, the resurfacing of Atlanta. For just the second time in its 28-year history, the entire track has been resurfaced. And the drivers say it's not at all what they would have expected from a new racetrack surface. First of all, over in turn number 1, no longer a distinct groove, and they're really searching over there. And here in turn number 3, potential controversy. Obviously, when the track was paved, it was done in lanes. And the drivers say that from one lane to the other, a little rill was left. And they feel this when they change lanes at high speed, and they're not pleased at that. Plus, down here in the bottom, it's rougher than you might expect from a brand new surface. And the drivers say this is where we'd like to run, and we don't know if we're going to be comfortable running down here or not. And there's one other factor this weekend, the weather. Rain is predicted. No racetrack is more vulnerable to bad weather than a brand new one. And should that happen over Friday, Saturday, or maybe even on Sunday, no one will know exactly what to expect on Sunday, and we could be completely starting from scratch.
And, of course, we did have that heavy rain earlier today here in Atlanta.
Well, you know, that new surface, the bumps, the abrasiveness of the new surface, you know, just wearing down the tires, all these variables all play a factor in who's going to win the race and who's going to win the championship. That's why all the people come and everybody watches NASCAR racing. You never know until it's over.
There is some speedy dry on the front stretch there from the Derek Cope blown engine, but all is well as the cars take the green flag and move up to racing speed once again. Here comes Rusty down the backstretch as the leader. Dale Earnhardt is right there behind him, however. Davey Allison not too far back in third position, and Bill Elliott is involved in a group of cars that are moving through the third and fourth turns. Behind Sterling Marlin in car number 44 and ahead of Mark Martin in car number 6.
On the restart, Elliott was in the 7th position. Since then, Sterling Marlin has passed him, so that moves him back to the 8th position. Now Mark Martin tries to make a move on Bill Elliott.
But again, he is well within the window that he needs to win the Winston Cup Championship. Now Mark Martin does move the Strollite Ford on the inside of Bill Elliott, and it looks like that Mark Martin is going to move into that 8th position. Meanwhile, we have Dale Earnhardt in car number 3, and the 28 car of Davey Allison as they're very close now in a contest for second. And here is Jeff Bodine with an unscheduled pit stop. Dick Bergman will call this.
Well, it's a right side tire change for Jeff Bodine, and the tire they've taken off is just rolled in front of the car. One of the alert people hanging around here has removed it, and he's gone for 2 right side tires. It appears as if one of them either equalized or they thought it was going to have a problem.
Well, Jeff Bodine was just outside the top 10 when that extra pit stop occurred, and he is that far from getting lapped unless he gets up to speed very quickly. Oh, we have a spin down in turn number 4. Rick Wilson spins into the pit area. He spun into pit road, so he will just come on down and make the pit stop. That means that there will be no caution.
The right front tire flat on the Rick Wilson car. You see him stopping into his pits. That's probably why he's spun. He's trying to get into the pits as quick as he could. Jeff Bodine coming back into the pits now. It must have been a left side problem for Jeff. So a lot of action right here after the restart. A lot of tire problems right over debris probably on the racetrack.
There was definite confusion in Bodine's pit station. One of the crew members, the check man in particular, thought they were going to change all 4 tires. Well, this time they came back in. They're changing the right side or just retightening the lugs on the right side. Really is what they did. Very costly pit stop. He has now gone a lap down.
Here are the 4 in contention for the lead. It's Rusty Wallace in 27, Dale Earnhardt in 3, Davey Allison in 28, and Mike Alexander in car number 12. And Mike Alexander once again shows that he has a very strong race car on this Sunday afternoon.
Well, for those who just joined us, Mike Alexander and Rusty Wallace both went a lap down early in the race as a result of having making unscheduled pit stops during green flag runs. Both of them have gotten their laps back, and here are in the top 4 positions. Rusty Wallace, of course, leading. Dale Earnhardt second. Third place is Davey Allison, and fourth is Mike Alexander.
Well, the Hendrick point system sure got shuffled right there in the last few has with Jeff Bodine being the leader of the Hendrick teams and having a problem. And Darrell Waltrip and Ken Crater, who we haven't seen much of, still hanging in there in the lead lap. So there's a lot of internal races going on besides the championship and besides the Rookie of the Year thing. There's racing all the way through the field.
Well, Jeff Bodine was running in 10th place when he came in for the first unscheduled pit stop. He now is a lap down, so that means that Rick Wilson, of course, went a lap down too. So that means there are 25 cars still in the lead lap.
All right, Rick Wilson has moved back out onto the racetrack after a spin, and we have it from his in-car camera.
Okay, he was attempting to come into the pits. Evidently, the tire had gone down on his car, and you can see a lot of things that he didn't want to see as he spun around coming into the pits.
You got a good view of the infield there. You know, he really didn't spin all the way around. As we watched Davey Allison and Mike Alexander and Dale Earnhardt race, Rick Wilson never really spun all the way around. He slid right between the walls, didn't hit anything, and kept going.
Well, he's back in the pits right now for a change of left side tires on the Kodak film Oldsmobile, so Rick will probably go another lap down.
While we were watching the Rick Wilson situation, this is how Davey Allison went into second. It occurred in turn number 2. Davey Allison moved the Havoline Ford car number 28 to the inside of Dale Earnhardt and took away that second spot.
Now, folks, that is evidence of a car that is really handling. He can turn that car square left in the middle of the corner, come down and hit the accelerator and drove right on the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
That is really Davey Allison's strength. When he gets on the gas in the middle of the corner, he can keep his car low where the other ones have to drift up. And Davey really pulls off the turn right here. Right when he gets on the gas, his car just stays straight and low near that white line on the bottom, and he just drives away coming off the turn. He really has a good, what they call coming out of the hole acceleration.
Well, let's check the top 5 for you now with Rusty Wallace leading. It is Davey Allison who runs second, followed by Mike Alexander. Then Dale Earnhardt and Brett Bodine were 182 laps into this race. Certainly one of the big stories of the year in Winston Cup competition has been the tire war situation. As we end the season, Goodyear has 19 victories and Hoosiers have won 9 times this year on the Winston Cup trail. Let's get a report on the tire situation for this race as we go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Bob, Goodyear has a virtual lock on the front of this field. They've got virtually every car out here is running on their tires, but the hot tire is a used tire, one that's a little bit worn in that they've practiced with. Now, the brand new tires are tires like this. They call them sticker tires. They haven't had any laps at all, and in a lot of the races, oh, we're going to crash on the speedway.
Well, we don't see a crash. Okay, it was Phil Parsons, but he has come in for a stop, and there will be no caution on the racetrack. So Phil Parsons makes it into the pit area, and they go to work changing the left side tires on that Skull Crown Oldsmobile.
Phil having a very good run here today. He was one of the 25 drivers that was in the lead lap. Well, that's unusual. Normally, they go around and change the right side tires first. They went to left side tires. Let's see what happened with him. He made a very late decision trying to come in the pits, and boy, he almost got into the end of that pit wall, which saw a very serious accident yesterday. Let's go to Jerry Punch at the pit.
And they are still having trouble. Now they finally get the right side tire change. They changed the left side first. And then they went around and changed the right side tires on the Skoal Crown Classic Oldsmobile, but a tough break and a lot of valuable time lost here for Phil Parsons. Let's go back to Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, we're talking about used tires versus new tires, Jerry, and in a lot of the races, the new tires, the sticker tires, have been the faster, as was an example with Phoenix 2 weeks ago. Here, however, because we have a new racetrack with a new abrasive surface, used tires, tires that have been broken in and run a few laps, they're the best tires to be able to run on the car. Well, most of the teams don't really have quite enough used tires. Dale Earnhardt's team is an example. They say they don't have enough used tires to go all the way through this race unless they start recycling them. Leo Mel says that there's only been 25 green flag laps in one lap, and he doesn't want to see people putting sticker tires on. So how big is your tire inventory? Here we go again. Tires may well control the race. Larry?
Well, that gets into, you know, when you think about it, in a garage area on Saturday afternoon, you don't know, is it going to be a new tire race, a scuff tire race? What happens when you scuff a tire in? That means you've run it on the racetrack before. It hardens up a little bit. It gets just a little heat into it. It gets a little bit harder than one that would be new right out of the tire truck. So as we watch the 9 car on the racetrack, all these teams scuff in as many tires as they think they can, but it's always a gamble. What if scuff tires didn't work in the race? What if the surface changed enough where you needed new tires? Then you got to go back and re-plug all of your wheels with new tires, remount all new tires, and that's hard to do during the race. So all these teams kind of guess at it, and hopefully there's not too many cautions where they can make it to the finish with what they've scuffed in.
Mark Martin in the number 6 Strollite Ford is having problems. He's lost a couple of positions here in the last lap. Bill Elliott was able to pass him. Now Terry Labonte has done so, and a whole group of cars are about to go past him also.
Well, he was running in 10th position, or has fallen back now even further as Alan Kowicki goes past him. It looks like he might have lost a cylinder. It looks like he's down on horsepower. It could be that he has a tire problem, but we'll see if he does come into the pits, because if it is a tire problem, he does need to come into the pits very quickly. The 6L Yarborough and the Hardee's Oldsmobile moving around on the outside.
One of those drivers who, you know, is going to win a race someday. He came close in 1988 with a second-place finish, but Mark Martin will apparently remain one of those who has not won a Winston Cup race of this one. Well, the lead is held by the number 27 car of Rusty Wallace, and the second-place car is the number 28 of Davey Allison. And Allison, it would appear, is closing in on Rusty Wallace, as the 71 car of Dave Marcus is right ahead of Rusty. He'll dispose of him undoubtedly here in the first and second turns.
Yes, Davey is definitely closing in on Rusty Wallace. Davey, as we've said several times this afternoon, but in case there are new fans who have joined us, has come from back in the pack several times to run to the front. He has had one of the strongest cars here this afternoon, even though Rusty Wallace has been the leader once he got his lap back.
So with Wallace leading and Davey Allison in second position, we are nearing the 200 lap mark at the Atlanta Journal 500. It's just about 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and for those of you just joining us, we welcome you to the Atlanta Journal 500, the final Winston Cup race of the year. Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott settling the Winston Cup championship here today. Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race, and Bill Elliott is running within the top 10. As a matter of fact, he is in 8th position, so if the race were to end right now, Bill would have the Winston Cup championship. Now, that's Rusty Wallace there in car number 27. Behind him is Jeff Bodine, but he is a lap car. And then the second place is Davey Allison.
In fact, I think the car number 5, Jeff Bodine, has just gone 2 laps down as Davey Allison now tries to move under.
Now let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch, who has a story on the tire situation of Rusty Wallace.
Well, we talked a few minutes ago about Rusty winning $10,000 at the halfway point, and he asked Carl and Raymond Beadle, where's the money go? He said, take a look at these tires over here, and you'll figure out where it went. Well, I'll tell you, take a look here. We talked about being prepared and scuffs and new tires. He has 7 sets of scuffed tires here. 7 sets of tires at $700 a set. Also, they have 7 sets of brand new tires here in the pits with a couple extra sets. That's about $10,000 or $11,000 worth of rubber sitting right here behind the pit wall. That doesn't include what's on the car. So a lot of investment here. They're prepared and hopefully to win the championship. Let's go up pit road to Larry Newman.
Well, Jerry, starting where you are standing and walking down toward the first turn, I passed the pits of Darrell Waltrip, Ricky Rudd, Alan Kowicki, Bill Elliott, and
I'll tell you, Rusty Wallace's crew right now is the only team that has been successful in borrowing tires from other cars that have dropped out so far. I saw a lot of Richard Petty tires sitting in the Rusty Wallace pit. I have seen no other borrowed tires in any other pits. And as mentioned earlier by Gary Nelson, what I'm seeing mostly are scuffed tires and very little stickers. How about a cheer in, Dick Berger?
Well, I'm in Mark Martin's pit, Larry, and he's got an ignition problem. But, of course, the teams all listen to each other on the radio, so they know what's going on. He's lost a cylinder. They're going to just leave him out there. So almost as soon as he radioed in, I've lost a cylinder, Bill Elliott's crew is up here, and they were looking to buy some scuffed tires. Steve Beal says we got some more race to run. Maybe at the end we'll start selling tires.
There are 21 cars that are still on the lead lap, and Ned, seeing all of those tires there behind the Rusty Wallace pit, how does that differ than when you were driving in Winston Cup competition?
We wouldn't see that many tires if Goodyear would bring to the race, I don't think, for the whole field. Well, it wasn't quite that bad, but no, we never used that many tires. In fact, there were some 500-mile races back then that were won on one set of tires. We were running a very, very hard compound, and usually the longer you ran the tires, the better they would run. So you wanted used tires on the car, and so the tire situation that we see today was reversed from what it was back then.
Well, let's do a field summary for you here and show you some of the cars that are out there on the racetrack still in competition. We start, of course, with the leader, who is Rusty Wallace in car number 27. Behind him is the number 88 car, driven by Greg Sachs. Now, this is a backup car. That's the one that Greg started in the race because he was involved in a late practice crash yesterday afternoon that eliminated him from starting his original primary car. There you can see Davey Allison moving past both Greg Sachs and Rick Wilson. He is in second position. Now, here is Jeff Bodine in car number 5, and again, we mentioned that he has been passed for the second time, so Jeff Bodine is 2 laps down to the field.
And running right behind Jeff Bodine is the car number 12 of Mike Alexander, who is currently being shown in the 3rd position. A super run here today for Mike Alexander, subbing for Bobby Allison, and behind Mike Alexander is the car number 55 of Phil Parsons, but Phil is also a lap down as a result of an unscheduled pit stop. And then right behind him, in fact, Phil Parsons is 2 laps down. Right behind him is Larry Pearson in the Chattanooga Q car, number 16. He is 1 lap down.
And he is shown in 22nd position, the final car that is not on the lead lap. Then we come back and pick up on the 4th place competitor. That's Dale Earnhardt. And we have a crash down in turn number 4 as the car has made heavy contact with the wall. That's Harry Ginn in car number 33. And like Richard Petty, he has narrowed that car considerably. Obviously, hard impact on the right side of the car. And the word is that Harry blew a tire. That caused the car to go into the 4th turn wall. Now we're going to see some more wholesale pit stops here on lap 209, I should say.
There was a race back to the start-finish line among some of those drivers that we saw Rusty Wallace lap just a moment ago.
I believe Jeff got at least 1 lap back. Harry Ginn, by the way, was running in 10th position when that accident occurred up there in the 4th turn. You can see the safety personnel already on the scene.
And he's another driver that was driving his last race with his team. In fact, it might be the last race for the Hal Needham team. He has had that team up for sale. Harry, of course, will go with Leo Jackson next year. Still be sponsored by Skoal, but it will be another team.
All right, we're watching Rusty Wallace behind the pace car down the backstretch, anticipating that he and the others will come in for a pit stop. You can see Rick Wilson there in car number 4 has dropped to the apron of the racetrack, while Rusty Wallace and Davey Allison stay behind the pace car. Here it comes out of the 4th turn banking, and indeed, Rusty Wallace and Davey Allison and most everyone else is going to duck into the pits for another scheduled series of stops.
Jeff Bodine did not get one of his laps back. It was awfully close. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who is in Rusty Wallace's pits.
We expect to see a 4-tire change again by the Kodiak crew, likewise the Goodrich crew and the Hamilton crew. Davey Allison up pit road changing 4 tires. Right side tire going on Rusty Wallace's car. Now already off the jack on the right side and Buffalo running on the left side. Rusty Wallace on top of your screen. Davey Allison getting work for the Hamilton crew on the bottom. Left side by Tony Price and Robert Yates in the Hamilton crew. Wallace's car down off the jack, a quick stop. Davey's down off the jack. He is making his way down pit road as well.
Rusty pitted much further toward turn number 1, so naturally he is going to be ahead of Davey Allison and Dale Earnhardt as they reform on the racetrack.
But the fellow who's going to be ahead of all of them is Mike Alexander, who, when he saw the caution was coming out, he came into the pits, so he made his pit stop the lap before, so he's going to be the fellow that's going to be out in the lead, and you can see him on the racetrack there now in front of Rusty Wallace. Very heads-up pit work, and by the spotter, Gary Nelson, that's, again, the spotter comes into play. He saw that he could come into the pits and still get back out and stay in the lead lap.
It's those split-second decisions that the crew really has to be in sync. The spotter has to be right on the ball, see the caution come out, the driver has to have enough time to duck into the pits and hope the crew is fast enough where the pace car won't catch him. It's a high-risk deal, but it sure pays off, and it'll give you the lead like it did for Mike Alexander.
And also coming in that quickly was Brett Bodine, although he didn't get back out in front of Rusty Wallace. Let's go to Larry Nuber, who has a comment on Bill Elliott's pit stop.
Well, Ned, things did not go smooth down here. When Bill Elliott came in, routinely, the car went up right side first, of course, like always. The car fell off the jack. Now, there is a rule, of course, about a restricted number of men over the wall, and I'll tell you, there was a sea of red that surged over the pit wall and lifted the right side of that car up and got it back on the jack. Now, because we're under the yellow flag conditions, he did not lose too much track time, but I didn't count 5 or 6. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, but it was a most unusual pit stop. They went around to the left side, and things were normal over there, and Bill was back out on the racetrack.
Big huddle down there in the Bill Elliott pit, that's for sure, as they discuss the situation and perhaps plan a strategy for the rest of the race as they try to keep Bill Elliott in the points lead that will then therefore give him the Winston Cup Championship for 1988. Back in a moment. You can see as we are back at the Atlanta Journal 500, the current positions. Rusty Wallace is second and Bill Elliott is 18th. And here comes Elliott in for another pit stop. This is the second during this caution period. Wallace is stopping in his assigned area. And let's go to Larry Nuber.
Well, they come in, they do not go to any of the tires on any 4 corners. I believe they're working on the windshield here. They're putting a piece of tape across the top of the windshield. It has been mentioned before in this broadcast earlier that the sun is getting low, and as the drivers come off of turn number 3 in particular, the sun will blow right through that windshield and blind the driver. So they are putting a piece of black tape, about 4 or 5 inches wide. No, they're going to double it, make that about 8 inches wide across the top to protect the sun from coming in and blinding Bill.
Larry, that's a good move on their part to do that, and they did check to be sure that there was no fenders close to the tires. They had made the miscue in the pits there a moment ago. We're far back in the field, so they decided that that's a good time to come in and do that work. Here we see Harry Gant's car coming down off of the wall, really crashed in on the right side. We saw the ambulance bring Harry into the track hospital. He got out of the ambulance and walked into the track hospital, so he looked a little shaken up, but fortunately he seems to be okay. He did limp, I'll say, into the hospital, but Harry, of course, was limping before that because he has a fractured leg from a previous accident in Charlotte earlier in the year.
Tennis coverage presented us from showing you the open of the Checker 500 Winston Cup race 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, where we were about to see a shootout. Now, for those of you who did get a chance to see this open of our show on replay, some of you has asked to see it again. It is definitely worth watching. This is the way we were coming on the air for the Checkered 500, setting up the shootout between Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott. 2 weeks ago. Hats off to producer Neil Goldberg and to those 2 guys who took time out of their busy schedule. They had a lot of thoughts in their mind as they were both going for the championship at that race also, but they also had a lot of fun in doing that little open for them.
Bob, they were not exactly lined up on those draws there, but I'll tell you, those guys might can make it in Hollywood. They did a great job there, and I'll tell you, it's good to see athletes, the stature that they are, that has fun at something like that, and in a championship run, and we're loose enough to go out there and do that kind of thing. I'll tell you, you only see that in Winston Cup racing.
Oh, that was great. You know, it is really a pressure cooker. Winston Cup point chase it just puts all the drivers, all the crew members, especially when you're really right down to the wire in that pressure cooker. But here, Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace really had a good time with that. I wish it had come on during the beginning of the Phoenix race 2 weeks ago, but it fits pretty good here today because the drama still continues.
That's right. The shootout is still continuing. Well, we're 213 in laps into this race now, and at Atlanta International Raceway, it is Mike Alexander leading. battle for the Winston Cup. Rusty Wallace is currently second. Bill Elliott is currently 19th. If the race were to end right now, this is the way the point spread would be. Elliott with 44.64 and Rusty with 44.59. This race is not over yet, and neither is the battle for the Winston Cup. Stay with us for the rest of the event. And join us later tonight at 8 o'clock live from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami for the NFL game against the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. Both teams 5-5 in their division, and they're both looking for a big win tonight. It'll be live at 8 o'clock on ESPN. There you can see Harold Kinder, who is about to wave the green flag and get this race back going again.
Boy, look at his hat. He might start a new style with the way he wears the bill on the hat.
But you know, when the cars come down here, 35 or 40 of them, it creates a tremendous amount of wind, and it just sucks your bill, the cap, right on your head.
I tell you, I don't envy him the job that he has.
I don't either.
That's one of the toughest in racing.
You only need to look at Bobby Allison's crash at Talladega last year to know how dangerous that job is.
Hey, the pace car comes off the track, so we're about ready to go racing once again. 216 laps on the board.
And Mike Alexander will lead him down for a restart. That's Rick Wilson, the number 4 car to the inside, who is a lap down. There are 19 cars on the lead lap as we resume this race. There are only 7 cars that are still in competition that are off the lead lap. Mike Alexander leads him down with Rusty Wallace in second spot and the number 15 car of Brett Bodine in third.
And on the scoreboard for the first time today is Kenny Schrader in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. In fourth place, Davey Allison came out of fifth and fifth place there.
Look at Dale Earnhardt in the black car number 3, moved from the outside group to the inside group as he tries to pick up positions. He's running right alongside Davey Allison. 3 abreast. That was Ken Schrader there, the red number 25 that was also involved in that tussle for position. Now they're 2 abreast into the corner, and Earnhardt is definitely moving up. He's past Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip, and now the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine is just ahead. Bodine is 2 laps down to the field. The number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip and the 28 of Davey Allison side by side. And Earnhardt is there ahead of him. And now watch Davey on the high side of the racetrack go around Dale Earnhardt.
It looked like there was some smoke. Maybe it was just the quick drive that was put up there where Harry Camp had wrecked.
Well, that car of Davey Allison's right around the outside this time. Earlier, we've seen him passing everybody on the inside, but Jeff Bodine looked like he was holding up the inside, so Davey just said, that's all right, I'll go on the outside. Right on by 3 cars in 1 turn.
Hey, we haven't seen many cars pass Davey Allison today, although we saw Earnhardt pass it there a moment ago, but it didn't take long for him to rectify that.
Now we have a good battle going on up front. As you can see, Rick Wilson has gotten one of his 3 laps back, but Mike Alexander and Rusty Wallace now are side by side entering turn 1. Rusty is going to grab the lead once again, so Rusty Wallace goes back in contention, but here is Davey Allison in third, moving to second on the inside of Mike Alexander, and Brett Bodine is showing amazing strength in car 15.
Very strong here all afternoon, and I talked to Bud Moore, his car owner, this morning, and he said, I think we're going to have our best run of the year, and I'll tell you, he's showing a lot of strength right now. And here they come, 3 abreast, as Bill Parsons moves on the inside of Brett Bodine, then they quickly decide we're not going to that turn 3 wide, so they get down to just 2.
Bill Parsons 2 laps down, but is running right there with Brett Bodine. And here is Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine running side by side. And Darrell Waltrip and then Terry Labonte in number 11.
Here's Earnhardt. He still hasn't been able to move around Jeff Bodine. There's Darrell Waltrip in the red, the orange number 17 on the back bumper of Earnhardt's black Chevrolet number 3.
You can see the effect the bumps have on the cars. Some cars are able to just go over the bumps and it doesn't even phase them. Some of the other cars seem to bounce up onto the track as they hit the bumps. Here you can see them kind of rocking down the straightaway, going into this turn right here, right in that area is where most of the bumps are. And the cars that are really working good go through there without even being phased.
Now Dale Earnhardt is on the inside of Brett Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip will move to the inside and make it 3 wide as they head for the corner. Waltrip to the inside. Tight racing here, and he's going to get it as Earnhardt gets a little loose in the high groove.
Yeah, I was
about to say that Darrell hasn't been able to keep his car down on the inside of the racetrack. I was wondering what was going to happen when he went in there, if it went as high as it's been going, but it stayed that high.
And look at this group of cars. Terry Labonte in number 11, Bodine, Brett in 15, the 55 of Phil Parsons, and Ken Schrader in car number 25.
A lot of close racing here in Atlanta. Has been all day long. Still got a lot of cars in the lead lap that are still contenders to win this race.
While we watch this action, we'll give you the cars that are not on the lead lap. The number 98 of Brad Knopfsinger is 1 lap down. Larry Pearson is a lap down, 2 laps down. Phil Parsons, also Jeff Bodine, the 88 of Greg Sachs, and the 2 of Ernie Irvin. And 3 laps down is the number 4 car driven by Rick Wilson.
Of course, Rusty Wallace is the leader. Mike Alexander running in second place. In third place is the car number 28 of Davey Allison. Earnhardt is running fourth and Darrell Walter fifth. Now I'm looking at the scoreboard. I'm hoping that they're showing the same thing that we're showing here. Brett Bodine in the car number 15, Terry Labonte in car number 11, and Kenny Schrader in car number 25 up in the top 10. He was in the top 5 there for a little while.
Speed of the race at this point is 125.191 miles an hour.
Running in the 10th position, or 9th position, is Sterling Raleigh, car number 44, and in 10th is Bobby Gillen, car number 8. Ricky Rudd is still in the lead lap in 11th position in the 26 car. Alan Kowicki, who won Phoenix, is running 12th. 13th is Kyle Petty. Dale Yarber is 14th, and still in the lead lap is Jim Saunders, car number 31. Michael Walters is running 16th. 17th is Neil Bonnet. Bill Elliott 18th, and Mark Martin is hung home in the lead lap, even though he's running on 7 cylinders, running in 19th position.
A battle for the position here between Brett Bodine in car number 15 and the 11th of Terry Labonte. Brett Bodine in a good run today for the Bud Moore team in that car number 15. Brett Bodine's best finish of the year was 3rd at Charlotte. He has had several dropouts during the year because of mechanical problems. This has to be one of his best rides of the entire season.
But, Bob, it looks like he might have slowed a little bit there. Here's Alan Kowicki coming up on him, and he has moved to the inside of the racetrack, just as we're talking about how great a run he's having now. Ooh, boy, Alan Kowicki almost hit him as he decided to take the inside as opposed to the outside.
Alan Kowicki, fresh off a win at Phoenix International Raceway just 2 weeks ago, has not been among the faster cars on the track that we have seen so far in this race, but on the other hand has been competitive in the top 10 just about all afternoon long. Right now, he's positioned himself ahead of Brett Bodine. There's the 21 of Kyle Petty and the 26 of Ricky Rudd, also following that car driven by Brett Bodine. While we go back up front and check on how things are going for the leader of the race, and you can see that Rusty Wallace has put a little bit of daylight between himself and the second place car driven by Mike Alexander. Davey Allison continues to run 3rd. At Atlanta International Raceway, we'll be right back. While Rusty Wallace leads the Atlanta Journal 500, this battle is for 3rd position. It's involving the number 3 car driven by Dale Earnhardt and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, you can see Darrell Waltrip, his car staying lower than it had been earlier in the race. They've been improving on it. I'm sure they've been making chassis adjustments and maybe stagger adjustments to the car. He's running stronger and stronger as the day goes on. And you know, of course, Dale Earnhardt in the black number 3 car, he's been strong all day long.
Well, we have had some cars drop out of the race here in the last few laps, including A.J. Foyt, Jimmy Horton, Harry Gant, of course, because of the crash. Greg Sachs were behind the wall, and so did Brett Bodine. We were talking about how great he was doing. Things went away from him. Let's go for an interview with him to the pit area.
Well, Brett, you went straight from 3rd here to the garage area. What happened? Well, it looks like something went wrong with the motor. Yeah, I hate it. The car was running so good. I was trying to drive the wheels off of it. We were just a little down on power all day, but this thing would really go through the corners. And, you know, if we could get some long runs, we would start making time back on the leaders. And, you know, we made a good pit choice and pitted a lap early and got us up to 3rd. I thought maybe we could go up there and lead the thing. And evidently a piston or something's gone. It's just started to get a bad miss, and I'm smelling oil in the car. You know, I hate it for the people of Crisco. I wanted to get them a win before we parted company here at the end of the year, but Crisco Motorcraft Thunderbird was running well, and we're just going to have to work on our motor program a little bit over the winter and get back in competitive state.
And they also wanted to win it for car owner Bud Moore, who told me this morning it's been so long since he's been through a year without a win, he can't even remember how long it's been.
So a tough break for Brett Bodine as he unstraps himself and climbs out of Motorcraft Ford. That is out of competition at this point in the race. The leader is Rusty Wallace.
You know, an interesting thing that Brett Bodine said when Dick was just talking to him is that he smelled oil. Well, now a motor's blowing on the front straightaway of Brad Knopfling. No yellows come out so far. But he said he smelled oil from inside the driver's compartment. What that means is something inside the engine is getting ready to go away. Usually a bearing, and it sends oil fumes and smell up through the breathers of the engine and into the driver's compartment. So the driver uses all of his sensors when he's driving the race car to know what's going on. Not just his feel of his hands and how it drives through the turns, but also a sense of smell and his hearing.
So that 98 car that apparently lost an engine here on the main straightaway got itself off the groove and into the apron of the racetrack, and so there will be no caution period. We continue under 237 laps to go. We now have less than 100 to go in the battle for the Winston Cup. It is still Rusty Wallace leading this race, and Bill Elliott still hanging back in the top 20.
Well, he has moved up a little further than if the race should end right now. I think he's running at about the 13th or 14th position. 13th he's being shown. So the point spread would be a little wider than what we saw just after the green flag came out.
And Bill would be the Winston Cup champion if the race were to end right now. But Rusty Wallace is doing everything he can to preserve that championship. He knows he has got to win the race, and Bill has to finish 18th or worse. Rusty is in the lead of the event right now. They're the top 5 with 237 laps completed. Back in just a moment. Atlanta, where Rusty Wallace continues to set the pace in this 500-mile race at Atlanta. And the battle on the racetrack right now, the best one, involves the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt and the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. And this is for 3rd place. Holding down 2nd at the moment is Mike Alexander.
These two cars have been battling. They've even been side by side. Looks like Darrell Waltrip wants to make it side by side again as he tries to move over from the outside. But Dave Marcus was there, so Earnhardt shot down into the corner in front of him again.
Well, that has been a heck of a race. You know, lap after lap, Darrell comes back and tries Dale Earnhardt. You know, here he is right alongside, coming down the front straightaway, making a pass, going into the turn. Let's see if Darrell's handling still. Well, Darrell's trying to hold low. No, it slides up, and there goes Dale Earnhardt right back under him.
It really slides up on the track. He almost got into the gray stuff up there in the 2nd corner, but got it back in the groove. But Waltrip was unsuccessful in taking that 3rd position from Dale.
Oh, he says, I worked so hard to get that position, and then I went that corner just a little bit too hard and lost all of that in that game.
Well, that horsepower of that number 17 car is really showing up. He just drives by Dale. Look, it pulls up alongside of him again on the front straightaway. But it's this bump right in here in the 1st turn that really sets his car off to the high groove.
And while those two have been battling, look who has also joined in. That's Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Chevrolet car number 11. And now Terry Labonte is battling for the 4th position. Let's go to Larry Newber, who has a comment on his strategy from this point.
Well, Bob, the top crews are telling me right now that they should be stopping around lap 270 to 275. Now, the lap to keep in mind here at Atlanta is 268, because whoever goes past lap 268 should be able to go the distance. Now, without question, if there's a yellow flag after lap 280, 290, or sometime in the 300s, everybody will obviously stop. But we've had some long green flag segments here, and the crews are now thinking that, hey, you know what? Maybe this last pit stop, even if it comes under green, will be our final. So keep in mind lap 268. You've got to get that far to be assured of going the distance.
And right now we are at lap number 245, and this race position is still not calming down by any means. And look who else has joined in. That's Davey Allison in car number 28. But it looked like there was some smoke coming from that car.
He might have a tire rubbing a little bit. He's been in some pretty thick battles here, and he might have got fender pushed in just a little bit. But he's running strong. Let's go to Dick Berggren for more on that story.
Well, let's give Jared an A for having the correct answer on that one. The smoke is from a right rear tire rubbing net. But they've got other problems as well. And one of the major problems that they are fighting this afternoon windshield. They're having to be very careful with the air hoses. They don't want to strike the windshield for fear that they're going to cave it in. They'd love to be able to change that thing, particularly now as the sun is going down and visibility becomes an increasing problem. But they don't want to take the time to change the windshield. Davey Allison may be able to win this race. He doesn't spend a lot of time on pit road. One good thing that's happened for this team, very early on they had a problem with oil temperature rising. They cut a hole in the grill, and it's okay now. The oil temperature is down. Jerry Punches, Earnhardt is on his way in. Dale Earnhardt with a problem on his way in.
I think he has a tire problem, Dick.
It's not a scheduled pit stop. Here he is, sliding to a stop as Kirk Shelmerdine and the rest of the crew go to work. Back to Dick Berggren.
It's a right-side tire change. Definitely not a scheduled pit stop. They're throwing 2 cans of fuel in it. It's going to be just right. They're looking at the lefts as well. 11.4 seconds, and the problem, a right front blister. First blister we've seen all day, but it's a big one.
And he goes a lap down. Dale Earnhardt, because of a blistered tire, goes a lap down to the field.
Makes you wonder if they've run out of scuffed tires. You know, they may have had to put some new tires on because they may have been out of scuffs. That's the only reason I can think of why we would have a blister this late in the race.
So Dale Earnhardt has some making up to do now after going a lap down. Others will have to make stops that they got a little while ago before, of course, they would have to come in for their pit stops.
And so Dale Earnhardt drops out of this great battle for third position. Right now it is Waltrip and Davey Allison and Terry Labonte. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
We're in the Darrell Waltrip pit with Jeff Hammond, the crew chief. And Jeff, your car is awfully strong on the straightaways, but it drifts up high in the corners. Is there a problem with the car?
Well, right now, Jerry, it looks like we got a little bit of problem as far as the stagger is concerned. We've been trying to get that worked out all day long. We've been adjusting the wedge and working with the tires today, and that's about as good as we've had it yet. We've got another set here on the wall, and we've really been fine-tuning on them. We think we get them on the car, that'll really be what we need by the end of the race. So, I got a caution right now. I got to go.
Yep, it's Alan Kulwicki who has bumped the wall coming out of corner number 4. Not a hard hit. The car continues, but he did cave it in on the right front corner of the car. A lot of smoke coming from it because the body is rubbing against the tire. So this will bring out our 9th caution period of the day.
I think he had a right front tire problem on his car that caused him to get in the wall as Rusty Wallace comes across the start-finish line. He was about to put a lap on Sterling Marlin, so this will be a welcome caution for Sterling Marlin. He was having some problems. He was running very strong earlier in the race, and here we see Alan Kulwicki getting into the wall off of turn 4. Apparently the right front tire went down on the car that got him into the wall, not nearly as hard as we saw Richard Petty and Harry Gant get into the wall earlier.
Now, Dale Earnhardt had lost a lap because of that pit stop. He did not get it back because of this caution. So it's out on lap number 250 because of Alan Kulwicki's journey into the 4th turn wall. But it looks as if Alan will simply come in and have the tires changed, and they'll pull out that body work, and Alan can continue in competition. Rusty Wallace is coming in, and Dr. Jerry Punch is there to call this pit stop.
Well, again, Rusty coasts the car in very gingerly, pulls it away from the pit wall, so they have room to work on the left side. They will put right side tires on the car. The crew again working right side tires. Norman Kosovic putting the fuel in the car. Dale Earnhardt is second. That's that unscheduled stop. Davey Allison also on pit road. Davey Allison fixing that rubbing tire problem they had a while ago, trying to pull some of the sheet metal away. That's Rusty Wallace in pit, and the car is down and away after a 4-tire change.
I think Bill Elliott has finally stayed out on the racetrack and has led a lap. Now, that's just my speculation. He's still out on the track. He's coming into the pits right now, I believe. Nope, he's staying out there again. He's going to be sure that he leads a lap because the caution car hasn't gotten out there yet. So Bill Elliott is staying out on the racetrack. And now the caution car is out in turn 4.
He's picked up Darrell Waltrip.
So I don't know, we'll have to check and see a little bit later from official scoring if Bill Elliott did indeed lead the lap. Mike Alexander dived into the pits early again, as he did one time earlier this afternoon, and was able to get back out very quickly as he saw the caution coming out, so he came into the pits very early.
I'm trying to figure out what Bill Elliott is up to. He's slowing down and letting people pass him under the caution period. I wonder if there's been some confusion again with the pace car.
Well, Our information is, as they are ready to change that windshield in the Davey Allison car, that the 12 car of Alexander, the 17 car of Waltrip, the 11 car of Terry Labonte, the 25 car of Schrader, have made early pit stops and may have lost a lap on that situation there.
Well, we saw Rusty Wallace coming around very quickly. He stayed out on the racetrack, and that might be the case. So we'll see. That strategy might not have worked for them this time as it did earlier.
So we watched Davey Allison as he is now caught up to the lead pack. He will be coming in, however, for a change of that windshield now that we are under a caution and they have time to do it.
Well, that's a smart thing to do. You know, they've been complaining about the windshield. The visibility is getting worse as the shadows get longer and longer. It's a caution period. There's a lot of confusion with the pace car. Davey's got the best opportunity right now to change his windshield. Let's go to Larry Newber in Bill Elliott's pit.
Well, Gary, we've got a serious problem down here in terms of tire. Now, I don't think it's going to hurt his chances for the race, but you never know. When Bill came in, Gary, the left front tire was destroyed. It wasn't flat. It wasn't equalized. It wasn't losing air. It was destroyed, and it came in shreds, and the left front side of the car was dragging on the ground. They jacked the car up and gave it a cursory glance, of course, changed the tire, put Bill back on his way, but I would anticipate he'll come back in, particularly if this yellow flag continues. So the reason why Bill slowed so suddenly on that racetrack was a destroyed left front tire.
All right, we've watched now Davey Allison come in for his pit stop and a change of windshields, and Dick Berggren is there in the Davey Allison pit and can tell us what is going on.
Ordinarily, if you were going to have your windshield change, you probably need a calendar to time it. We're going to time this over with a stopwatch and see how well these fellas do. Gary, how difficult is it to change one of these things under this kind of pressure? These guys have a good chance to win this race if they can do this fast enough.
Well, you can see that they just loosened 3 tabs across the top of the roof, and they turned them up. Now they're turning them back down and tightening them with that speed handle. 3 little tabs is all that holds the windshield in. There you see the man in the middle with a little T-handle tightening the last little Allen screw, and they're putting a little tape around it. The windshield's done. You know, in a passenger car, if you took it to the glass shop and said, I need a new windshield, they'd probably charge you about $200 and want to keep the car all day. So Davey Allison just got a $200 windshield replacement.
Yeah, and he did it pretty quickly, too, Gary. 27.33 seconds, less than half a minute to change a whole windshield. Try that in your local glass shop and see how you make out.
And, Dick, the new windshield that they put in had already been prepared with that stripping there at the top for the sun problem that occurs at this time of day.
Yeah, it has. And several of the competitors are getting concerned about it. People are changing goggles, wondering exactly what to do. As the sun goes down, particularly late here in the year, it becomes more difficult to see. And there are a number of places on this racetrack where it's especially difficult. Jerry Punch, what's going on with Bill Elliott's tires?
Well, this is what's left of Bill Elliott's left front tire. You heard Larry Newman say a minute ago this tire was in shreds, and he sort of put it mildly. Take a look at what's left of the tire. This is the cord and part of the inner liner here. Elliott has been back on pit road. They raised the hood a minute ago to see how much damage this shredded tire may have done to the undercarriage and chassis parts inside the left front of the car. So Elliott's problems continue. The car has fallen off the jack. He now has had a shredded left front tire as he came back down pit road. We are continuing here at Atlanta Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500, and Bill Elliott still pursues a Winston Cup championship.
And let's sort out this situation now as to whether or not Bill Elliott did or did not lead a lap.
I don't think he did, because the car, Darrell Waltrip, is directly behind the pace car at the moment. Now, we're still not exactly sure if he's leading the race, because he made an early pit stop. He and Mike Alexander, and I think Terry Labonte and a couple of other cars made early pit stops, Kyle Petty among them. As soon as the caution came out, they came down pit road. Well, Rusty Wallace stayed out there and went around at a pretty good clip. And Bill Elliott saw what Rusty was doing, so he stayed out on the racetrack to keep from going a lap down, even though he had that tire problem, but he stayed out there and did stay in the lead lap.
That's probably why the tire looked so bad when he finally did get into the pits. You know, he's trying to go as fast as he can not to lose ground, so his crew will have time to change that tire, but then he doesn't want to go so fast that the tire completely shreds and tears his, you know, I've seen him tear the whole fender and hood off of a car if you try and go too fast. So Bill Elliott really did a pretty good thing right there to stay in the lead lap, plus not tear up his car too bad with that flat tire. He must have run over some debris right when the caution came out.
Lap 256, we're going to have another round of pit stops, aren't we, before this is over?
Boy, it's close, Bob. You know, we've talked about it. Larry said 268 was the magic number. Well, you know, the mileage isn't the same for everybody. Some guys get better mileage than others, and you know, there's a chance you could stretch it to the finish. But, you know, what we've seen today, all day long, there hasn't been a green flag pit stop around a green flag pit stops other than a flat tire or some kind of problem. So, you know, in the pit, you almost say, well, can it really go green to the finish now, or will there be another caution or more than one more caution?
For the next 2 weeks, ESPN Speed Week will be on Tuesday nights. Now, only for the next 2 weeks at 7:30 on Tuesday night. This coming Tuesday night, we'll review what's happened here this weekend and summarize what has happened during the entire NASCAR 1988 season. Then the program that I mentioned earlier to you. A week from Tuesday night, the 29th at 7:30, the end of an era, as we'll have Benny Parsons and Cale Yarborough joining us, and they have already retired, and Buddy Baker will also join us. He's semi-retired. And we'd like to remind you also that later tonight at 8 o'clock, we'll have a battle between the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. NFL football action from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, live at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern Time here on ESPN. Bill Elliott's in the pits. Larry Nuber is there.
Now, Bob, the attention is going to that left front that both Jerry and I have referred to in the last 7 or 8 minutes of this yellow flag. They're doing some particular cleaning work on the front windshield. Bill obviously has been complaining about the glare as they come off of that turn number 3. It's getting extra attention. While this is all going on, at least 2 people, including Ernie Elliott, are down on their backs on the ground looking at the left front. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of cosmetic damage. There was actually a hole in the top of the fender, and there's a lot of rubber and bent metal around the wheel well. So cosmetic damage, whether or not it's structural, don't know.
All right, Elliott goes back out onto the racetrack. Now, there's the pace car, and NASCAR has started out this scoring problem. They have allowed Darrell Waltrip, Mike Alexander, Terry Labonte, and Ken Schrader to come all the way back around and to stay on the lead lap.
Had a similar situation at Charlotte, North Carolina last month, and it took a little while to get it figured out, but they did let cars go around after the pace car had picked up the wrong car.
All right, we are still under caution, and when we return, we'll be ready for more racing at the Atlanta Journal 500. I hope you're enjoying today's coverage of the final Winston Cup race of 1988, the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway. It's being brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the First Brands Corporation, makers of Prestone Advanced Formula Antifreeze. Here are the top 10 now with 259 laps completed. Rusty Wallace is the leader. Ricky Rudd is second. Third is Michael Waltrip. Fourth, Bobby Hillin Jr. and Neil Bonnet in 75 is in fifth. The second 5, led by Jim Sauter in car number 31. Then Cale Yarborough in 29. Davey Allison in car 28. Sterling Martin in 44. And Bill Elliott is in 10th in car number 9. In 11th position is Darrell Waltrip. 12th is Mike Alexander. 13th is Terry Labonte. 14th is Ken Schrader. And those 14 cars are on the lead lap. We're about to go racing once again. If the championship were to be, if the race were to end right now, the championship would go to Bill Elliott. Although Rusty Wallace is the leader. Now, the number 3 car that will come down leading the string of cars is Dale Earnhardt. He technically is on the lead lap, but not the leader of the race. Look at this. They spread out 4 wide as they head for turn number 1.
A lot of scrambling for position as the green flag dropped, and Earnhardt trying to stay out in front of Rusty Wallace as we watched from Rick Wilson's Kodak film Oldsmobile. Bill Parsons directly in front of him. The yellow car on the right side of your screen there is Michael Waltrip, who has run a very strong race here this afternoon. He's currently in 3rd place.
Well, look at that sun, the glare through the windshield. The windshield's so pitted from the sand all day. All the drivers have to look into that as they come through that turn.
Boy, there has to be a point on the racetrack for a split second or maybe 1 or 2 seconds where you just literally can't see anything while you're looking right into that sun. Cale Yarborough as we go inside the Hardee's car, and he's got Davey Allison right ahead of him.
Cale having one of the best runs for his team, actually, this season. Dale Jarrett had run in 2nd place at Dover earlier this year for a while, finished 8th at Riverside, but Cale has stayed in the lead lap in the top 10 here now. We'd like to see him have a good finish.
And there's how it looks from the vantage point of the spectators that have gathered here in Atlanta this afternoon. That's Mike Alexander in car number 12 running alongside Cale Yarborough.
Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte were sent around, so they had to go to the rear of the field. The pace car had picked up inadvertently the wrong car, so they were sent
that's why they're as far back as they are. So the early pit stops they made really worked to their disadvantage on that particular occasion.
Well, a little bit later, we're going to be announcing the Goodyear Eagle Driver of the Race Award. Goodyear will be giving $1,000 to the Winston Cup Racing Drivers Association in that driver's name. And certainly there are many to consider when the final votes are cast in that particular honor, the Goodyear Driver of the Race. Back inside Cale Yarborough's car, the Hardee's race cam providing the pictures. And this is how Cale Yarborough looks as he goes around the high banks here at Atlanta.
He's still trying to chew a little bit of chewing gum while he drives, looks up in his rearview mirror, comes off in the turn and acceleration, looks up in the rearview mirror once again as he makes the turn into the next turn. You're seeing history being made here as Cale Yarborough in his very last race of one of the most illustrious careers that stock car racing has ever known. And he also ran a few IndyCar races. In fact, he ran the full season.
Yeah, he did.
But you can see him really paying attention to his mirror. Mike Alexander there and several other cars coming right up behind him. They're all a factor in what Cale's going to do as he goes into the turn, whether he should stay low, stay high. He's really paying attention to the traffic around him.
There's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17, and then behind him we have cars that are battling for position. Waltrip is in 5th position at the moment.
Well, he was 11th when the green flag came out, so he has moved up through the pack pretty quickly.
Bobby Dillon Jr. there, the 75 car driven by Neil Bonnet.
Boy, he can be hard to see when he goes into that turn next turn.
Look at how close he's staying to that car down on the inside of Neil Bonnet.
Hear him backing off the accelerator, the RPM's going down, feathering the throttle through the corners and then standing on it once again as he comes out of the corner. Now here are the Stavola brother cars battling side by side. That's the number 12 of Mike Alexander and the 8 of Bobby Dillon Jr. Speculation is, we have a car that has spun into the pits again. That's Jim Sauter in car number 31. We have seen that, I believe, 3 times today. Phil Carson almost spun, almost hit the end of the pit wall. And Rick Wilson also spun into the pits earlier in the race, and now Jim Sauter, he's pitted up there toward that end, so perhaps it was not a spin. Now look at this. It is Rusty Wallace in car number 27 who has lapped Dale Earnhardt in number 3. Looks like Dale is just going to say, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think he has any choice. Rusty's car has been working so well all afternoon, and Earnhardt has shown some strong points, but he had that blister tire a little bit earlier.
We have a car that's broken badly in turn number 3. I don't think it's going to bring out a caution. There is Mike Waltrip in car number 30 that is having a fine run, and there is Rusty Wallace in car number 27.
Michael Waltrip now being shown in 2nd position. That's Kyle Petty in the Simcoe Wood Brothers Ford driving his last race for that team. He'll be moving in with our Gary Nelson next year.
Well, that's my new driver there, Kyle Petty. Looks like it's got a piston, something wrong inside the engine. You can see when he lets out the clutch, it comes right out the exhaust there. I don't think that car is going to go much farther than to the garage for the rest of the day.
No yellow flag. However, Kyle Petty is headed for pit road, and it could be the end of the afternoon for the son of Richard Petty, who crashed earlier in the afternoon and is out of the race. So the laps continue to click off. We're at 2:69 now with Rusty Wallace still leading the Atlanta Journal 500. Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson, Larry Duber, Jerry Punch, and Dick Bergen back at Atlanta International Raceway, where Rusty Wallace continues to lead this 500-mile race, the finale of the 1988 Winston Cup season. A fine performance today by the driver of car number 30, Michael Waltrip. He is in 2nd position. Let's go to the pit area, Larry Nuber.
Well, not only a fine performance by the drivers, the crew has done an excellent job, and there's a lot of excitement down here. This is Chuck Ryder, the owner of this team, one of the newer teams on the Winston Cup Trail. This may be the most excited I've seen you guys all year, particularly since Pocono.
Oh, we are, and the team has worked so hard, and so has Michael. They all deserve it. I just hope we have a good day here.
At Pocono, you guys finished 2nd. What's he saying? Does he have a chance at catching Rusty and holding on?
Rusty's very strong. He's just playing. He's driving as hard as he can. Hopefully we'll be around there at the end.
A win today would be a very important day for your team, wouldn't it?
It would certainly make the exciting year of 1989 just the greatest thing that happened.
Okay, that's what's going on down here. We're almost down in the first turn of the pit area, and Jerry Bunch is also standing by very closely. Jerry?
Well, Chuck Ryder, who owns that Michael Waltrip 50-time Lemonade team, may make an announcement this week, and he said if you want to, you can go ahead and allude to what we might say, and that is that they will have an in-house engine program next year, and they apparently, I'm told, may be hiring one of the most potent Pontiac engine builders in NASCAR, and that is Kenny Wilson, who has been building engines for Richard Petty for the last 3 or 4 years. I understand Kenny Wilson will move on to that team in 1989 and will be their primary engine builder for Michael Waltrip. So look for good things from that operation next year.
Well, Michael Waltrip is being challenged here, or will be in the next lap or so, by Davey Allison, who has charged back now and is closing in on the second place Michael Waltrip.
How many times this afternoon have we seen Davey Allison charge back towards the front? He has had an overheating problem. Apparently that's gone away. He had a spark plug wire off early in the race. Had a tire rubbing a right front fender a little while ago. Coming back.
Well, he's got clear vision right now with that new windshield. And although he had to start, 23rd or 24th in line on the restart, he's slowly moving his way. Now he's just about to take over second place and then set his time.
Not making a bid at the moment. We'll see what he does at the other end of the racetrack. Michael Waltrip in the number 30 yellow Country Time Lemonade sponsored car. And it is Davey Allison in the number 28 Havoline Ford. And now Davey slingshots around during going down the backstretch. And he hasn't taken the position yet. There he does. Davey Allison moves to second.
Well, he's been so strong going into the turns and coming off the turns, and it was no big surprise that he was able just to drive it under Mike Waltrip there and go on and take the position away.
Davey has quite a catching up to do, though, to Rusty Wallace, who has a pretty substantial lead. And now we go back and check on the number 26 car. He is in 4th position. That, of course, is Ricky Rudd. The number 5 car there, Jeff Bodine, is not on the lead lap.
Rudd has had a good run here this afternoon. He's been sort of up and down, but in 4th position right now. In a very challenging position is Jeff Bodine, who is a couple of laps down, tries to move on the inside of it. There's no threat to Ricky Rudd as far as position is concerned.
Rusty has about a 5.5-second lead on the second place car of Davey Allison. Now you can see Jeff Bodine passing Ricky Rudd in that number 26 car. Jeff Bodine is in 16th position, 2 laps down.
Car number 6 of Mark Martin is being pushed behind the wall. Apparently he's going to be out of it. He lost a cylinder earlier in the race and now apparently is going to be out of the race.
Bill Elliott has not led a lap yet. However, Rusty has now clinched the 5-point bonus for leading the most laps. Plus, of course, he picked up the 5 bonus for actually leading a lap, and so he has picked up 10 points on Bill Elliott so far in this race. But again, if the race were to end right now, Elliott would have the Winston Cup title in hand. They are not separated by enough positions that would give Rusty the Winston Cup, although he does lead this race. And we are 47 laps away from the end of this race at Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll be back after this. Back at Atlanta International Raceway and the Atlanta Journal 500, where Rusty Wallace has the race in hand. You can see some of the first-time winners in the 1988 NASCAR season. Blake Speed, Phil Parsons, Ken Schrader, and Alan Fulicki, and those 4 break the record and set the modern-day record for first-time winners in the season. It has been a tremendous year in Winston Cup competition. And along those lines, before we get rushed at the end of our program, there are a few people that we would like to thank here at ESPN for their cooperation as we have covered the Winston Cup races this year. Needless to say, the entire France family is on our list. Les Richter and Dick Beatty, who pretty much run things on a race-to-race basis in NASCAR, have been very cooperative with us all during the season. Morris and Jeannie Metcalf in scoring, Harold Kennedy the starter, and all others associated with Winston Cup competition. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, very much. Here's Ricky Rudd in car 26 and Darrell Waltrip in number 17. Battle for 5th spot.
Waltrip has caught Ricky Rudd. Rudd was battling not too long ago with Davey Allison. Davey just went on away, and now the number 17 has pulled up on his back bumper. Davey Allison has just moved up and went around Dale Earnhardt, but Rusty Wallace still has a good lead. But this is the battle for the number 5 position between Ricky Rudd and Darrell Waltrip.
You know, Michael Waltrip up ahead of his brother Darrell there is really hanging onto that third place really well. Nobody's gaining on Michael Waltrip. Davey Allison went on by, but Davey's gone on by everybody, you know, all day. Here's Michael Waltrip on the screen running a solid third place. Nobody's gaining on him, and he's really not gained on anybody at this point.
And look at the steady progression that Michael Waltrip has made from a 28 starting position to 13th, 21st, then back to 8th, and now all the way up to 3rd position. His best finish of the year, by the way, was a second at the Pocono 500. So although he hasn't won a race, his best finish this year and career finish has been the runner-up position. We go back and look at this tussle for the 5th spot. Ricky Rudd and Darrell Waltrip.
Darrell still seems to have a little bit of a problem keeping his car as low on the racetrack as he would like to. He has, as Gary Nelson has pointed out several times, plenty of horsepower on the straightaway, but in the turns, he just has to back off a little bit early, and he loses a little bit of that distance he gains on the straightaway.
If 2 more cars were to drop out of the race, then Bill Elliott could drop out and still win the Winston Cup. That's how close he is right now to clinching the whole thing.
Boy, they can't be breathing easy yet. You know, Bill Elliott and his whole crew and all of his fans still have to hold their breath just a little bit longer. You know, that's the great thing about Winston Cup racing is you just don't know. You just got to wait till it's over, and then you'll finally figure it out. But I tell you, it's been one heck of a long day for Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott both.
Well, Ricky Rudd, already a winner this year in Winston Cup competition. He was the victor at Atlanta, and Darrell Waltrip has been in the victory circle twice this year at Charlotte and at Martinsville.
You know, we watched Ricky Rudd early in the race. Looked like one of the strongest cars on the racetrack, and he looks like he's lost a little bit. And then we look at Darrell Waltrip right behind him. He looked a lot worse earlier in the race than he does now. So Darrell Waltrip has gained, and Ricky Rudd here in the 26 car has lost a little bit, and that almost brought him into an even running performance right here for 5th place.
Lead held by Rusty Wallace. He's running all by himself on the racetrack, not being challenged at all. He has a rather substantial lead on the 2nd place of Davey Allison, trying to salvage the Winston Cup for 1988. Back in a moment. Will either be won by a Pontiac driver or a Ford driver, and if it's Rusty Wallace in a Pontiac, it'll be the first time since 1962 when Joe Weatherly won the Winston Cup in a Pontiac. Now, as far as the Ford is concerned, the last Ford to win the Winston Cup was David Pearson back in 1969.
Actually, the Ford cars have not won very many Winston Cup championships over the years. I think that I was the first driver, and I don't say that in a boasting manner, in 1965 in running a Ford and winning the championship that year, so they really haven't won that many championships.
Let's look ahead to 1989. We'll be back with our coverage, and Dr. Jerry Punch can perhaps fill us in on what some things we should be looking for when we open up.
Well, next year, Bill Elliott will be back with the Melling Seas. Now, as far as sponsorship was concerned, there was a lot of speculation until a few weeks ago. They will be back next year with the Golden Colorado Beer Company. Coors will be a sponsor, as will Motorcraft. Now, there is serious speculation there will be a 3rd associate sponsor. In fact, they haven't made any commitments yet, but we are told we should look possibly for Underall to go on the Elliott crew. No more penny lines for Bill, Ernie, and Dan Elliott. Also, next year, some crew chief changes. Harry Hyde is no longer with the Folgers team. Harry told me about an hour ago that he shook hands with Billy Stavola last night, and tomorrow morning, Harry Hyde will go to work as the new team manager for Bobby Hillin. Other crew chiefs who are out of work right now looking for a job. Joey Knuckles, who left the Buddy Baker Craig Tax team this year, he may work with the rookie operation next year, as will Doug Reichert, who left the Benny Parsons Dunleavy team. So those crew chiefs still looking. A lot of changes coming in the Bear for 89. Gentlemen?
I'm not going to ask you where you got the underalls, Jerry. Battle shaping up here between the number 25 car and the number 11 of Terry Labonte. And Labonte is one of those who will be switching makes at the end of this year from the Chevrolet to the Junior Johnson Ford for 1989. This is 7th and 8th right here.
Looks like smoke out of Terry Labonte's car. It's hard to say. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, oh yeah. It may be just about all over for Terry Labonte, a big puff of smoke coming from that car. Any speculation, Gary?
It's usually not good when a motor or something like that starts happening. It's hard to tell. It's coming from under the car near the front, so it's probably an oil leak or something even more serious in the engine area. But this is Terry's last ride in a Chevrolet. Junior Johnson's team switching to Fords next year, and you understand the Ford deal is for 5 years with Jimmy Johnson. Well, look at the smoke now. Oil spill when he lets off the gas. That makes you think that it's an oil leak, that maybe near the front of the oil pan, a cracked oil pan. When he lets off the gas, the oil runs to the front and leaks out and causes smoke. Look at Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd still racing for position.
Darrell Waltrip, it seems, has been in a fight for position all day long. Now he's in one with Ricky Rudd for 5th spot. Waltrip is in the Tide-sponsored Chevrolet, number 17. And, of course, Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick Conquest 1.
There's not only the Western Cup Championship at stake here today, but something more. They were about to get together there. But there's something that's very important to the manufacturers, which is the manufacturers' point championships for the various brands of cars. And a very close battle between Ford and Chevrolet going into this race today. I think that the racing ended the way that it is right now, it would be very, very close. Going into the race, Chevrolet was ahead 5 points over Ford, 162 to 157. Pontiac at 151 was in there very close as well. Now, if the Ford wins the race and top Chevrolet earns 3rd place, the manufacturer's points by finishing behind the Pontiac Buick Oldsmobile, there'll be a tie. So, you know, there's a lot of calculations there is exactly how it would stand.
Yeah, we keep talking about the fact that either a Pontiac or a Ford is going to win the Winston Cup, but Chevrolet is definitely in the thick of things as far as the manufacturer's championship is concerned. The Pontiac of Rusty Wallace, sponsored by Kodiak, is the leader. There's Tim Brewer as he watches his driver Terry Labonte at Atlanta International Raceway. There are 24 laps remaining in this 328-lap race, and if the race were to end right now, Bill Elliott would win the Winston Cup with a total of 4,488 points to Rusty's 4,464. But one thing that we will be looking for here in the final 24 laps, Ned, is another round of pit stops.
Yes, most of the drivers will have to make a pit stop. Now, Bill Elliott did come in and top off the fuel, saying that he might possibly try to stretch it. But we can look for Rusty Wallace. According to our computers, gathered from information that we received from the teams in the pits, that Rusty Wallace will have to come in somewhere around lap 312.
Here he is now.
He's coming in right now, earlier than we were predicting, at 305 laps. So he's getting close on fuel. He certainly didn't want to run out. So let's follow this pit stop of Rusty Wallace to Jerry Punch.
They did not want to take a chance on that fuel cell. This is the same car that ran on fuel injection early in the race a couple of times. They have only run 45 laps. Right side tires, 1 can of fuel in. Second can of fuel going in. Only tire down and away. Good pit stop. 11 seconds to Kodiak through.
And he'll stay in the lead lap, Jerry. That's very important because he should come out and still be in the lead lap. And he had a good enough lead that he could come in, and especially with that good pit stop, it remains in the lead lap. Davey Allison now has taken over the lead in the Halloween Ford number 28.
I'm very surprised they changed tires. I would have thought just a splash of gas, although with about 21 laps left to go, I guess they feel like the newer tires on the car will give them that extra speed. You know, they could have probably got about 6 or 7 seconds worth of fuel in the car, and they had enough fuel to go to the end, so they stayed for the 11 seconds to get the 2 tires. Hopefully they'll make up that 5-second difference.
Now, we're predicting that Davey Allison will come in at a lap around 3:14 or so, but we see some activity down in his pits now, so they might, since Rusty Wallace has already made his pit stop, they might come in a little bit earlier. We were predicting that Ricky Rudd would come in at about lap 3:19. Now, Darrell Waltrip traditionally gets better gas mileage than anybody on the racetrack. He can go about 70, 72 laps, which might let him go the rest of the way. He currently is shown in 4th position after this pit stop. Now, let's go to the pits for some comment from Dick Berggren on Davey Allison's pit stop.
Well, they're getting ready to do that, and it looks like it's going to be just a splash of fuel and a couple of rounds of fight, and that'll be it. But there's a lot of consultation going on here. They do not have a computer in the pits. They're using the old-fashioned method, a pencil and a piece of paper to calculate this thing, and they're trying to decide the best way to accomplish it.
Well, as we had mentioned, perhaps our calculations would be correct under normal circumstances early in the race, but these guys simply don't want to take a chance of running out of fuel here in the closing stages, and so it could be before lap 3:14, which we predict for Davey Allison.
Well, math is math, whether it's done with a computer, a calculator, or with the old pencil and paper. As we see Michael Waltrip slowing down.
Apparently out of gas.
Yeah, apparently out of gas or some kind of problem. But
Ricky Rudd coming into the pits.
Davey Allison's crew, Davey being the leader now, he has the choice, 2 tires or just a little bit of gas. I think everybody should think about just a little bit of gas from here to the finish.
Now here is Michael Waltrip, who is coasting in, apparently out of gas. We can't determine right now whether the engine is not running or not, but in any case, he is very slow coming in, and Larry Nuber will report on this stop.
Bob, the engine was dead silent when he came in here. They got some fuel in it. He got it fired. Michael just barely came to a stop. They actually refilled this thing while it was coasting. It did not refire. He got it started, then it stalled. Now it's out of my sight. I don't hear the engine. I see crew members still running, and now Michael's back out on the speedway. Finally. So it was really a close call for him. Even though they did an excellent job of refueling that thing, he almost lost it.
It's lap 312, and here comes Davey Allison for his final pit stop of the race. Moving down off the banking onto the flat part of the racetrack as the crew gets set to go to work on that car. We'll see if he changes tires or just fuel. Here's Dick Bergman.
It's going to be just tires, and that down light we talked about. You can see him put it in his right. Oh, wow, what a fast pit stop. He hardly even slowed. 3.5 seconds, and that was it with enough fuel, hopefully, to go all the way.
Well, let's see. Rusty Wallace is coming down towards turn 1 right now as Davey Allison is going back out on the racetrack. Rusty Wallace will move around him on the outside as Allison gets his speed up. Rusty has just passed Terry Labonte, who had moved into the top 5, so there's still a couple of cars yet to make pit stops who are out in front of them, including the car number 12 of Mike Alexander, who is leading, and Darrell Waltrip, who has moved up into second. Mike Alexander's in the pits right now. Let's see what he does. Dick Bergman.
Well, he's going to do the same strategy. Rusty is the only guy that's trying to do tires and fuel. Like just a quick splash of gas, not as fast as Davey, and off he went.
Bill Elliott coming into the pits. We speculated that he could go all the way, but as we see Mike Alexander leaving the pits, Bill Elliott's on his way in at the other end.
And Darrell Waltrip in car 17 assumes command of the race. Bill Elliott, as Gary mentioned, is in for a stop. His final of the afternoon is going to be a splash and go there also. They check the tires. Jerry Punch.
Yes, only no tire change. Elliott's car just rolling, and they put a little bit of gas in it. About 4.5 seconds, he is gone.
14 more laps to go in the Atlanta Journal 500. It's still a question mark as to who's going to win the Winston Cup. There is Rusty, who just passed Bill Elliott. The number 17 car is the leader, but not anymore, as Darrell Waltrip brings the Tide Chevrolet down off the banking and heads for his pit area. So Darrell Waltrip will get a splash of fuel before ending this race. Larry Nuber will call this.
Jeff Hammond is right out in the pit road, looking right in Darrell's eyes as Darrell comes into the pits. They're trying to get the flash and go technique executed. 5.4 seconds, it's complete. And Jeff Hammond has been right out in the pit road the whole time, looking right down Darrell's goggles. Executed that pit stop perfectly.
Boy, how do you time those pit stops, Larry? I used to time them from the time the wheels stopped turning until they started turning. I don't think Darrell's wheels ever stopped turning, really.
The lead is now held by Ken Schrader in car number 25, the Vulture Chevrolet. But there is Rusty Wallace right there on his rear air spoiler.
So if Rusty moves around Ken Schrader, that, of course, puts him in the lead. Rusty has moved into second place now. He was the first of the cars to make a pit stop, the only one to take on fuel. Bobby Hillin Jr. is in the pits, and here comes Rusty Wallace just driving down on the inside and driving right on around. Kenny Schrader taking back over the lead. And I tell you, fellas, I believe that was good, smart strategy on their part to change those tires.
Yeah, you can see that Davey Allison's fading, not even in the screen there. And when Davey came out of the pits, he was in the same frame as Rusty Wallace. So Rusty is pulling away from Davey Allison with those new tires. Even though Davey's crew adjusted the wedge a little bit, it wasn't enough to make up for the new tires that Rusty has.
Well, you can't reward a driver anymore for what he has done this afternoon. Rusty Wallace, he has done what he had to do. He has led the most laps and appears to be on the way to victory. But even if he wins, it appears as if the Winston Cup is still going to go to Bill Elliott. We'll know after these messages. There are less than 8 laps to go in this afternoon of racing here at Atlanta International Raceway, where Rusty Wallace in the Kodiak Pontiac is leading the race. The second place car is Ken Schrader, Davey Allison is third, Mike Alexander is fourth, and Darrell Waltrip is in fifth position.
The only one of those cars that has not pitted as yet is Ken Schrader. He might try to go all the way. We understand that is the plan. Right now, there are 8 cars in the lead lap. Cale Yarborough, who's running in 9th, was just lapped a moment ago by Rusty Wallace. And now Bobby Hillin Jr. in the car number 8 is about to be lapped. Bobby is running in the 8th position.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd is 6th, Michael Waltrip is 7th, and Bobby Hillin there was in 8th position. He has just been lapped, and so now 7 cars are on the lead lap. And in our opinion, the Goodyear Eagle driver of the race is Rusty Wallace. So Goodyear will be sending a check for $1,000 in his name to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Association. It is from a very good driver to a very good cause. Rusty, as we indicated, has done what he needed to do here today. He needed to get out front. He needed to hopefully win the race. He is doing so right now. As to whether or not he is going to win the Winston Cup, that remains to be seen, but it quite frankly doesn't look good for Rusty right now.
His only chance was to win the race and lead the most laps. He's done all of it. So he is, I mean, he hasn't won the race yet, but he's certainly in position to do that, but he has done everything that he could possibly do. And so if you don't win it, well, he's just done what he had to do. So that does, in our opinion, make him the driver of the race.
Well, Rusty got 5 laps to go and to take the win on today. Bill Elliott, here's Bill, Ken Schrader out of gas with 4.5 laps to go. So that gamble didn't pay off, but it looked like a good gamble from all of our standpoints here, I think.
So Schrader is coming into the pits for some fuel that will carry him to the finish. You can see he locks up the brakes and slides to a stop as the crew puts the necessary fuel in the car, and Schrader having a slow time getting out. Now the car catches and he begins to move away.
Another shuffle in the Hendrick Motorsports point system. But as far as the Winston Cup points go, Bill Elliott's got 4 laps. If his car will keep running, there's nobody in front of him. There's one car near him behind him. Rusty Wallace has a little bit of traffic, but both these cars continue to run. Rusty Wallace, I'd have to take my hat off to him for the effort, the determination he's shown all year. And Bill Elliott, the same thing, to be able to pull off everything he's done so far this year.
We saw just a moment ago, and right in front of Rusty Wallace is the car number 30 of Michael Waltrip. There you see the yellow car number 30. He was running in 2nd, then 3rd place for a long time. In 3rd before he ran out of gas, made his pit stop. Now he's almost a lap down. That's unfortunate. He finds himself back in 8th, 7th position. But running out of gas has really cost him here this afternoon.
The white flag will come out next time around, and Rusty Wallace will be on his final circuit of this 1.5-mile Atlanta International Raceway. Down the backstretch, he will go beside and then around Michael Waltrip as Terry Dotson and the crew continues to watch their driver, Rusty Wallace. On the other hand, Bill Elliott, who also is waiting to see what happens to their driver. Bill is not going to win the Atlanta Journal 500, but he apparently is going to win the Winston Cup for 1988. Bill right now is in 11th position. And remember, he needed to finish 18th position. And remember, he needed to finish 18th or better to win the race, rather win the Cup, regardless of what Rusty Wallace did. And it is going to come down to that situation. Rusty Wallace from Fenton, Missouri is about to win the Atlanta Journal 500. Here he comes off of corner number 4, and Rusty Wallace wins race number 6 of 1988. The final one of the year is a celebration in the Kodiak Pontiac Crew. They're celebrating the battle victory, but here is the war victory that's won by Bill Elliott, and listen to the partisan crowd here at Atlanta. We're just down the road from Dawsonville, Georgia, Bill's hometown, and he had a tremendous turnout of people here this afternoon to cheer him on to the Winston Cup, and they did so successfully.
Certainly, congratulations are in order for a team that's done a tremendous job this year. See Ernie Elliott, he's the one with the glasses on there shaking hands. Very happy fella as he finally wraps up that championship that he has fought so long, worked so hard for.
Last year's champion, Dale Earnhardt, just handed the crown to Bill Elliott. He waved to him as he passed him going into the pit area.
Now, Rusty Wallace is moving into victory lane, and it's got to be a bittersweet victory for him. Sure, he's going to be happy that he has won the race, but on the other hand, and as we see Rusty move into victory lane, Cale Yarborough is taking an extra lap around this racetrack with his hand high in the air, saluting his fans for applauding him on his last Winston Cup race ever. Rusty Wallace moves into victory lane. You can see that he is somewhat disappointed because he has lost the championship, but on the other hand, he drove a very, very fine race this afternoon. The championship, here he is. Bill Elliott comes in, and other crews move out on pit road to congratulate him as he comes down. We'll be going to victory lane after this. The winner of the Winston Cup emerges from his car. Jerry Punch is right there.
And his first words, old man, I'm tired. Bill, congratulations. We shouldn't call you Bill. Your new name is Champ. Congratulations.
Well, I'll tell you what, it took the last lap all day long to know. And the thing of it is, I run hard, and Rusty did what he had to do, and I did what I had to do, and I dodged bullets all day long, and here we are. It's all it needs.
The left front tire, the car coming off the jack. What else could happen to you today? You had to be thinking, where are all these gremlins coming from?
Well, it was just enough to kind of slow you down, but not enough to take it all away. And, you know, that's all that counts. We did what we had to do, and, you know, the crew and all the guys back at the shop, Melling, Coors, Motorcraft, Ford, and all the people involved, you know, it's been a fantastic year. You know, we didn't win the race, but we won the championship, and that's all that counts.
Bill, they said it had been 2 years since the national title had been won and brought home to Georgia, not in football, basketball, or baseball. And now the Winston Cup goes home to Dawsonville.
Well, you know, the thing of it is, it's for the guys at the shop, it's for all the people that supported me around Dawsonville, and it's for the people for the state of Georgia that's really backed me up. You know, that's who it's for.
Well, Harry Melling and Peter Coors are here to celebrate with Bill Elliott, the new Winston Cup champion. Let's go up to Rusty Wallace with Dick Berggren.
Well, Rusty Wallace, here you are in victory lane yet again after another lap down. You won the battle, but you lost the war. How do you feel? Is this a happy occasion for you or not?
It's a happy occasion, yeah, you know, because we won the race, and Barry and I and the whole team talked about it going in. The only thing I could do is throw everything I had at him, you know, just kick him dead, and I beat him all day long. I set in the pole, I led the race, I led the most laps, I won the race. I lapped him. I did everything I possibly can, and he just rode around and just had enough time to win it. Now, I'd like to congratulate Bill Elliott and the whole team. It's a happy occasion for me, but yet it's a little bit of a letdown, and the team understands our feelings. But when you try so hard and come up only 24 points short, it's a letdown. But I'm very happy for Kodiak, Pontiac Motor Division, Mobil 1, AC Spark Plugs, and all the sponsors that stuck with me through this year. 6 wins, more seconds, more top 5s, more top 10s, more money won. We murdered them, but we just come up short.
In the weeks leading up to this race, you and Elliott did a lot of things together. It almost seemed as if you had become friends. Have you?
We're friends. We're a lot of friends, and it's my turn next year. I can tell you that. I think that I drove hard enough this year and beat on the whole field long enough that I should have won this thing. It's just that my little incident in Richmond got me down and some things like that. But that's racing. I'm going to forget about it. I'm just going to work my butt off for this team next year and try to bring home this championship.
Have a nice time in Hawaii. His time will come. Back to you, Bob Jenkins. Bob?
And so the shootout that we talked about before the Phoenix race is completed, and it is won by Bill Elliott, although Rusty wins the race today. And our Winner's Circle interview has been brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. Well, we're going to wrap up our final Winston Cup telecast for 1988 when we come back to Atlanta. Bill Elliott and members of the Coors Melling Motorcraft crew now take their victory lap here as Bill has won the Winston Cup for 1988. As far as the top 5 finishers in our race here this afternoon, it was Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison, Mike Alexander, Ricky Rudd, and Darrell Waltrip.